Talk Live.
Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160 is the phone number. That's 603-283-6160, and that means you can call with whatever is on your mind. You can bring up whatever subject you want. You can tell us what you think about what we're talking about. Tell us we're wrong. It doesn't matter because it's Free Talk Live, and you can bring up whatever is on your mind. And with you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie,
Riley,
and Richie Rich.
And a main topic tonight, because there's never just one main topic on Free Talk Live, is tariffs.
Oh my goodness!
We didn't get a whole lot into tariffs yesterday, like I think it was mentioned. But one thing that was like really big yesterday was that hands-off protest. So
yeah, it was huge yesterday.
So
that's what she said.
But I
know that's what she said.
Yeah, yesterday.
What's this hands-off protest? I don't follow protests.
Basically, from what I understand, it's the protest to say, oh, you got to keep our hands off our federal jobs and our money, and it's a protest to Donald Trump and Elon Musk, essentially.
It was going on
so
in
federal workers
states.
Are protesting that we should be stolen from continuously?
It was less just federal workers, but there was somebody with a sign that said, like, hands off my federal jobs.
Okay.
It was just kind of like every state was saying, like, hey, DC, hands off. Because we want, it wasn't like a nice principled, like, we want New Hampshire to be in charge of New Hampshire and DC to stay over there. They are selective about it, like, hands off our Social Security, DC, and crap like that. So yes, it is what you're saying.
Okay.
It's people who want DC's hands on their states in certain ways and not others.
I was thinking about this, and I'll just throw this out there to you guys and anybody else listening. If with the firing of all the federal workers, are they even suited for private employment?
Oh my God, the ones I know, barely, if any at all.
Right, or are they just going to like then resort to burdening the welfare system because they don't know how to be productive at all in their employment?
That's a really good question. I don't know the answer to that, but I know at least the people who I know who work for federal government, like Social Security people and et cetera, maybe they could transfer their skills to something else, but I really don't know.
Could they?
It's pretty hard to get a job, seriously, that's just like, I sit there and I type in numbers. Like, I would have loved to have a job like that most of my youth, and it's hard because the other women who were like stay-at-home moms or something are like, no, I want this little side gig where I type in numbers. So, like, these people are going to be going from a cushy job to like the lowest skilled things, and they're going to feel way too good to work at McDonald's.
Well, and they also have to be like customer focused because you have to actually serve your customer in order to be productive.
And government is notorious at not serving customers because they don't have to serve customers.
That's what I'm saying.
They can just be terrible customer service people and terrible at doing everything.
And I don't think that translates into like positive private sector life.
Exactly. I agree. If they have to work with people, they're going to be awful at it and not understand, like, what, of course my manager was supposed to be fine with me telling that customer that I wasn't going to help them. And then if they can find a job that isn't customer servicey and it's really low skill, I feel like they're going to feel too good for it. Like just moving rocks around. Like, oh,
Diane, this is not the DMV. You can't just close your window and move on.
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly.
There's people in line. They want to get out of here too.
Exactly. Well, so that is definitely a thing that they could be burdening the welfare system because Trump keeps talking about like, oh, we're just going to bring a bunch of like low skill factory jobs back. But
how is he intending to do that? Because how is he incentivizing factories to come back here? Because
tariffs.
How is a tariff going to incentivize a factory to start up again?
Because he's making it too expensive to import goods.
I understand that, but I don't think that's going to bring the jobs back to America because no one is skilled enough to run those factories anymore.
Yeah. I mean, you're right, but that's the answer. Tariffs. Tariffs is how he plans on doing it. And I was talking to a friend about this yesterday. Here's what boggles my mind, right? Because, like, I've taken economics. This seems like basic 101, 102, maybe 201 stuff, right? But very early on you learn about the division of labor and comparative advantage.
Yeah.
Right. So like my big thing is always, can whatever you're doing be done better, cheaper elsewhere? And what we've learned is that other countries are more suited for manufacturing than the United States. So even if you bring all of that stuff back, as you said, we don't have the comparative advantage doing it. So it's going to be worse and more expensive.
Why is it that other countries are more suited to manufacturing than the United States? Is it just that the United States has gotten too used to certain types of jobs that they feel too good to be in manufacturing?
It's either that or other countries might have cheaper labor.
That could be a factor as well.
It's like I always hear people say,
why does India do tech support? Well, because like that's what they train to do. Practice your English, get a tech job.
Every time I hear somebody say, like, oh, I don't buy those, blah, 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 because I heard that the workers only get paid a small amount. And that is different than saying, oh, they use slave labor. So if somebody says, I don't buy this product because the workers in the other country, they only get paid this small amount, it's just like, well, do you hate those workers? Because clearly they have that job because they are willing to work for that. They're willing to work for that low. Yeah. That's the job that they're choosing to do. If it's slave labor, yeah, I understand that a bit more. I mean, a lot more. That's probably a good reason to not buy a product, but
yes, most people. This is another thing that's weird when I try to like transition it into relationship speak. But most people are doing the best they can, right? You have the best job you could possibly have, and I know this.
Yeah, they're not stupid,
right?
There's not some way better job next door, and they're like, oh, I'm just going to keep opening these walnuts for $1 instead,
right? Because if you could do something better, you would, right? If you could find a job that paid you more, you would take it. Like maybe there's some trade-off as far as like, I'm not willing to work that many hours or whatever. But if there's something better out there, you would do the better thing because it's better. So you've settled for wherever it is you are, and that's where you're at. This is the best you can do. So that factory job getting paid 3 cents a day or whatever in Bangladesh, right? Like that's the best they can do. If there was something better available, they'd be doing that. And if you take that away from them, the likelihood is they're going to be doing something worse.
Well, we're white Americans. We know better than them. We should go there and tell them, no, you need to demand something crazy and just ruin their whole situation they got going on there just because of our ignorant perspective.
Yes, and if you want to pay more for American stuff that's like not as good, like that's a choice. That's competition in the marketplace.
I often see things on like if I'm looking at a website that sells some product, I'll see like made in America and it just makes me think like, why is that supposed to be a plus? I just don't understand. I mean, unless
nationalism.
Yeah, it's this nationalistic pride. Oh, I got something made in my favorite country. I'm so proud. We gotta have everything made in America because America's number one.
Now,
it's just absurd.
There are certain things that are made better in America.
I'm sure there are.
But it's not all of it.
I just an honest question.
I would not buy cast iron pans from China.
Yeah.
Oh, more toxic.
I'm just not comfortable. Yeah, you don't know how good it is. So all of the cast iron companies that I've like purchased from or considering purchase from happen to be like locally manufactured in America.
I have no idea where mine was made. I've never thought about it that much till recently. I actually switched out to some ceramic pans, and they have no like filler, like core, and they have nothing covering them. They're all ceramic.
Okay.
And I haven't actually started using them yet. So if they are like horribly sticking to the pan, that's gonna be awful. And I also got some stainless steel ones recently, and oh my god, it's very difficult to make stuff not stick to it and burn it, and so difficult. So,
yeah, work on that because that you shouldn't. How do I want to put this? If you heat it right and use the right amount of like oil or fat or whatever you're using in there, you shouldn't have any problems.
It's just a learning curve because it's like with my Teflon pans, it's like I'd be like, bam, like put it on 5, and now it has to be like 2, and it still cooks the thing. It just oh my god, it's really
cooking can be an art sometimes.
It is
just practice.
Art, yeah. And I'm gonna have to throw away at least one of the stainless steel pans that I already ruined.
How'd you ruin it? Don't throw it away.
Because I turned the pan on like 5, and it made this like little like the olive oil started smoking. I was like, oh, that's not supposed to happen. I'm like turning it off, but the olive oil actually burned it, and that one has a core. So apparently it's just going to be leaching just like the rest of the things. We have a caller on the line, so let's go to Gigi in North Carolina. Gigi, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Long time no talk to everybody. Good evening.
It's good to hear your voice again, Gigi.
All the hosts. It's so good to hear everybody.
Woot woot.
I love this program.
I'm glad.
Number one, hello and good evening to everyone. Number two, I'm so happy to say I continue receiving letters from Mr. Freeman.
Oh, nice.
And I am devoted in my response, as the whole country knows. And number three, I heard in a letter, or I should say I read in a letter, about Little Coconut is not doing well.
Aw, he wrote about that. Well, he's actually doing...
He did, because I asked Ian, how is Little Coconut? And he wrote back about the teeth issue. And, and I know how people are very attached to their animals. It's a member of the family.
Yeah, I'm taking him to get a second opinion because, like, he's a Chihuahua mix, and Chihuahua mixes, he's going to be 8 years old this year, and they're notorious for their
Well,
teeth.
my husband grew up with dogs and a Chihuahua for years and years.
Dog braces,
Jeffrey
a whole new market.
Loves Chihuahuas. But there is something I would like to express. It's just my personal opinion. Hosts and listeners all over the country are, of course, free to disagree with me. I think people who know me by now know that I'm not shy. I'm not reserved. I am very active in my spiritual and cultural heritage as a Jewish woman. And I feel that just because if I want to criticize something politically or militarily about the state of Israel does not make me a self-hating Jew or anti-Semitic, and I say that with pride. And as a former professor of history, I am thoroughly outraged and utterly disgusted that paramedics that were there at night with their ambulances full of medical and humanitarian supplies, waiting to get into Gaza so they could attend to injured and ill people, were literally murdered and then buried in a mass unmarked grave.
Whoa.
It reminds me, please permit me to finish, it reminds me of the Nazis rounding up Jews, murdering them with machine guns in the wooded forests and burying them in massive graves, literally pits, unmarked. Has Israel not learned anything?
They learned to be the hammer and not the nail.
Yeah, pretty much.
Good point, gentlemen. And I said to my husband, this is disgusting. This is history repeating itself. The only difference is that the players have changed. And it took Israel a long time to admit there were gross mistakes made. And somebody internationally better call them out on it because it was murder.
Who, what country were these emergency workers coming from?
They were Palestinians, and they were paramedics, and they were gunned down by the Israeli Defense Forces in the middle of the night, and they were buried in the middle of the night in an unmarked mass grave.
Wow.
And you know why? Because that's called doing it secretly,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
in my
Sounds like
opinion.
it. Yeah.
In my opinion.
That is just
And
disturbing.
what the Israeli Defense Force and the Israeli government has publicly said on every news channel, progressive, conservative, moderate, they have all reported the same response. The IDF and the Israeli government said, well, they were buried immediately to prevent wild animals from eating the dead bodies.
Oh my goodness.
Baloney!
I think that's just an excuse.
Are
Yeah.
wild animals even hanging around there anymore?
I think
There
with
are
all the
wild
pro-Palestinian protests and anti-Israeli protests, not anti-Jew, but anti-Israeli protests.
Thank you. I agree with you.
Well, I think the tide of public opinion is swaying a little bit further than it has in the past.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. I'm just saying, like, you might see more of that, what they'll try to label it as anti-Semitism.
Yes,
right? And the social medias will try to block it. But I think the fact that we can see all this, there's more media about it now, that the average person is starting to actually witness what's actually going on.
It's disgusting. And it reminds me of what the Nazis did. There's no difference.
I agree. There's no difference.
The players have changed. That's all.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree.
History has repeated itself. And it makes me embarrassed and angry. You can hear in my voice. I don't mean to be unladylike or rude on the phone. I'm just very upset about this.
Yeah. Well, if you're not a Zionist, you can just not tell people that. Right?
I don't mind expressing my frustration with anyone or anything if I feel it's inappropriate, wrong, immoral. That's how I feel. And it doesn't deflect from my pride in my Sephardic heritage or celebrating Passover, which is coming up. They are very different issues, as you correctly pointed out.
They brought out the good marshmallows because it's Passover, and I was like,
I love marshmallows.
Me too.
I love them dipped in chocolate and booze.
I never thought of doing that, but
just dip it in booze after you roast it.
That's what makes Passover so good. By the time you're eating your dinner, you've had your fourth glass of wine.
That sounds like a fun dinner.
And then for dessert, you have booze, liqueurs, and delicious goodies.
That sounds awesome.
I cannot relate.
At Hannaford, they bring out all this stuff during Passover for the Passover meal.
Okay.
And a lot of it is marshmallows that aren't made with pork. I don't want to eat that.
No gelatin.
They're made with fish gelatin instead. And
all right.
Correct.
I buy a bunch of them.
And you want to know something? You cannot tell the difference. They're just as delicious.
Yeah.
That's what the vegans say, and I don't trust them.
No, it's really true. I bought 4 bags so I can let you have one. I was like, easy marshmallows.
You're so cute. I certainly hope that Ian continues to stay in good health and little Coconut will be taken care of.
Yeah.
I know that he is like a family member to you, so I am respectful of that.
Oh, thank you. He's honestly fine. It's just that some of his teeth, I took him to the vet because it just felt like his breath was like stinky no matter how many times I brushed his teeth. And I was looking at them as like some of them looked like they needed to be taken care of beyond what I could do. So I went to go get his teeth cleaned, which is just like something that's normally like every 2-year thing anyway. He's had them done like that long ago. And they were like, yeah, it looks like his gums have receded up on a few teeth and he's going to have to get them pulled. But I'm taking him to get a second opinion. I just want to save as many.
Ian wrote.
Yeah.
Ian wrote that. Listen, I love this program. I've been listening for several years, but I am the resident Jewish mother. Am I not?
It sure sounds like it.
Doggydentures.com.
That's so cute. Thank you for letting me take the time tonight.
Thank you so much. And it's an interesting thing she brought up about what happened in Palestine, because honestly, it's just been going on for so long.
They keep doing it.
Yeah, they do.
They keep attacking civilians and then apologizing, and nothing changes.
Well, we just did it so that way the wolves wouldn't take the bodies. I know it sounds more like they were, trying to hide it.
Yeah.
Doing it in the night, and
they do it to medics. They do it to food supplies. They have the supplies like right on the outskirts. Like, oh, can we go in? They go, yeah, go in, and then they blow up the vans as they're going in.
That's so horrible.
Well, the excuse to be given, the Palestinians are terrorists first, and they have their rhetoric. We got to fight back because they're terrorists.
Well, the foolish thing is they go like, well, they're hiding the terrorists, or the terrorists are hiding behind civilians, and like one of the things, it only happens in the movie, right? If you remember the movie Speed, they went, well, shoot the hostage, but that's a movie. You don't shoot the hostage in real life, right? You wait for a clean shot on the target. So if there's like Hamas fighters, in the hospital, you don't blow up the hospital. You wait till they come out, or you go in, and extract them cleanly, but you don't blow up the hospital. You don't kill the hostages, just to get to the bad guys.
It's all just collateral damage, Richie.
Right, which is nonsense.
Well,
it is nonsense.
It's only in the movies where that's acceptable.
They're trying to justify it by saying things like everyone in Palestine is supportive of Hamas, so therefore they're all guilty. And it's like, a baby can't be supportive of Hamas.
Yes.
Yeah.
A baby can't be guilty of supporting
Right.
Hamas. That's ridiculous.
And the United States did the same thing in Yemen, where they go like, the general went to his girlfriend's apartment, and then they leveled the building.
Which one was that?
That was like when Trump bombed Yemen a week or two ago.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like, there's like, the high value target just went into a civilian area. What do we do? And it was like, blow up the building.
Whoa.
With innocent civilians,
Oh my goodness.
women and children in the building. And like, but you got to get like the one guy. You couldn't get him on his way in. You can't wait for him to get out. You got to like kill everyone in the building
Oh my
because
goodness.
one guy walked in.
Wow, that's so bad. I had heard that they were bombing American ships, so they bombed Yemen back, but I didn't know it wasn't just a ship. I thought they bombed a Yemenian ship, however you would say that. Well, one thing about Gigi bringing up that she's a Jewish woman, but she's still going to criticize Israel is we should all understand we are not our governments. Obviously, Gigi's an American.
Yes.
But she's definitely not the government of her ethnic group's land either. Like, I'm not my government in the United States, and even the people living in Israel, they're not their governments, even though some of them might support what's going on and feel they are their government. Well,
Some people would say, well, I don't like my government, but I like my country. And to me, countries are just ideas like governments are. And so my question to the people who would say that is, why should I support a country?
Yeah, a whole entire country. Like, I care about people, and
What
I've
is
never
a
been to
country
Michigan.
anyway?
I've never been to Michigan. I don't know anyone in Michigan, so why would I love Michigan?
Yeah.
And supposedly that's part of my quote-unquote country.
Major Payne's in Michigan.
Oh, yeah, I do know Major Payne. That's not a good example then, but I'm trying to think of when I...
Ohio doesn't exist.
I've been there, though,
okay.
So I couldn't really use that. I don't know anybody in Hawaii, and I've never been there. But you are here now.
Okay.
Alaska.
I was born in Alaska. But I don't know anyone
Name them
there
all,
now.
Riley. Alphabet.
Utah. Wait, you've been to Utah.
Definitely been to. Okay, so my point was just that, like, you don't have to care about your whole entire country. You can care about your community, and I think it's important to keep making that more strong.
It's not going to help with the blowback, though. They'll just attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, the blowback is a real thing. People holding signs in the streets that say, like, "Death to America" was a real thing because of what we did in the early 2000s to the Middle East. More Free Talk Live coming up. Don't go anywhere. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live coming up.
The new Netflix Gas lets users instantly inhale multiple seasons of TV shows. An area man is worried the nation's healthcare debate might be getting political, and a bullied 8th grader incorrectly thought classmates would leave him alone during a field trip to the 9/11 memorial. Don't mistake my kind, gentle tone for one of love or support. This is The Onion Week in Review. According to a report released this Tuesday, no one, absolutely no one, will ever stack up to your 8th grade boyfriend, Brian Bowden, who you dated for 6 weeks in middle school. A 43-page study from Stanford University confirmed that no other guy in your life will ever be as kind or caring as the 13-year-old who held your hand during the scary parts of Jurassic Park, who had that really cool chain wallet, and who bought you 2 pink carnations on Valentine's Day. The report added that while your current boyfriend does have a lot going for him, he will certainly never cut class with you to listen to the Dead Kennedys' Frankenchrist on a Sony Discman. Brian used to do that with you. He used to do it all the time.
This is the Onion News Network.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Stuart Smith. Delegations from the so-called Coalition of the Willing are set to meet in Ukraine on Friday. President Volodymyr Zelensky says it'll be the first meeting of its kind as Ukraine's allies continue to assess potential security guarantees for the country should a ceasefire be brokered. William Denslow reports from Kyiv.
According to President Zelensky, military teams will discuss issues such as the possibility of a peacekeeping force being deployed to Ukraine. The Coalition of the Willing, which has been spearheaded by the UK and France, has convened several times in recent weeks, but Zelensky says this will be the first in-depth meeting on Ukrainian soil. Foreign Minister Andrei Sybiha has met with Coalition of the Willing allies on the sidelines of a NATO meeting Thursday to discuss security guarantees for Ukraine and how to prevent further Russian aggression. William Denslow, Kyiv.
The European Union's top trade commissioner will hold a call with Trump administration officials on Friday to discuss the impact of the sweeping new import taxes announced by the US government. The EU was hit with a 20% tax, and the trade commissioner said unjustified tariffs inevitably backfire. Ross Cullen reports.
Maroš Šefčovič, the EU's top trade negotiator, said on Thursday that we'll act in a calm, carefully phased, unified way, but we won't stand idly by should we be unable to reach a fair deal. He has twice visited Washington in recent weeks to try to secure a deal with the US that would have avoided the imposition of the sweeping tariffs. The EU is determined to resolve the crisis through talks between the Trump administration and officials here in Brussels, but it says it would introduce retaliatory countermeasures if the dialogue doesn't bear fruit. Ross Cullen, Brussels.
South Korea's Constitutional Court has unanimously voted to uphold the impeachment of President Yoon Suk-yeol. His short-lived declaration of martial law last December plunged the country into political turmoil. Laura Westbrook reports from Hong Kong.
Acting Chief Justice Moon Hyung-bae said Yoon Suk-yeol violated his duty as president with his declaration of martial law in December and acted beyond his constitutional powers. After the verdict was read out, cheers broke out among anti-Yoon protesters, but there were also tears and anger in the pro-Yoon camp. It caps months of political turmoil which exposed the divisions in Korean society. In a statement, Yoon said he was regretful and sorry for failing to meet expectations. A presidential election has to be held within the next 60 days and will have to contend with issues such as Donald Trump's escalated global tariff campaign.
Central European nations are stepping up measures to contain a foot and mouth disease outbreak, which largely affects livestock like cows, pigs, sheep and goats. Austria is closing several border crossings with neighbouring nations, while Serbia is implementing vehicle disinfection protocols. From bureaus worldwide, this is Feature Story News.
You can help spread the ideas of liberty with our Patreon for just $5 per month at amps.freetalklive.com.
And we're back.
We're back. It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. And 603-283-6160 is the phone number. You can call in. Anyone can call in.
And we're also Free Talk Live, in case anyone's wondering.
Oh, did I not say Free Talk Live?
I don't remember.
I don't think I did. Yeah, it's Free Talk Live. And that's why anyone can call in, because it's Free Talk Live. And that's 603-283-6160. And I'd like to thank John for being an amplifier with us here at Free Talk Live. That means that John went to amps.freetalklive.com and signed up to support the show. AMPS stands for Advertise, Market, Promote, and Support. Thanks to John and everyone who supports us. And again, that's amps.freetalklive.com if you'd like to check out the perks and benefits of becoming an amplifier. And we definitely appreciate everyone who supports us, however you do. That's Patreon. There's also Odyssey. Thank you so much to everybody who supports us. And again, if you'd like to call in during the segment, 603-283-6160. And we started talking a bit in the first hour about Trump's tariffs. They really piss off Richie Rich.
They do.
Oh,
absolutely.
With you on the show tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
Riley.
And Richie Rich.
And
it hit home. It hit home, that's why.
I definitely want to hear the story. I'm not just going to start reading about this, but I'll tell the listeners who maybe haven't heard. Trump on April 2nd...
Liberation Day.
Announced it Liberation Day. And
Which
said,
is so stupid. It doesn't liberate anybody to have tariffs.
It's 8D chess, Riley.
Oh, come on, dude. It's not 8D chess. It's what the liars and thieves will tell you.
His perspective is we're being liberated from this bully system that the other countries have put us in, where he's saying that there's trade deficits with other countries.
Yeah. See,
I'm not saying I agree.
When I hear stuff like that, my brain almost explodes because I'm compelled to like regurgitate Econ 101 stuff again, and I can't contain it. It's so stupid. But it hit home for me because, as you know, I pretty much I work and I play video games, and that's my thing. And so I was really excited. Switch 2 is coming out. I watched the Nintendo Direct. Not blown away. They announced the price after the fact, and they're like, okay, pre-orders ready to go.
How much
April
is
9th. $449 or $500 if you buy a game with it. But they're like, pre-orders go live April 9th, like this coming Wednesday. Like, all right, this is what I get excited for. Like, I don't necessarily need the system. I just like having fun with the FOMO, right? Like if there's going to be a shortage or, there's a rush to get it, like I just want to be in on that first wave.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Like even with movies, right? Like I don't want to pay full price for a movie that's been in the theater a week already. Like if I don't go on day one, like I don't even care. I just got to see it before it happens. But so like pre-orders Wednesday, I get all excited. I'm like, I'm ready to go. And then 2 days later, they go like, well, the game, it's still going to launch on the same day, June 5th, but we're not doing the pre-orders because we have to reevaluate because of the tariffs that are coming in.
Sucks so
It
bad.
sucks. But what does that mean? Right? It's like, what do they have to reevaluate? Well, probably the price, which is already on the high side of it's a little high, buddy. And now some outlets said it might go up like 50%. Like that's insane.
Wow.
That is insane. Yeah.
Like $600 instead of $400.
Something like that, yeah, or $650 or whatever.
Wow.
But still, the excitement to like get the pre-order in and then stew on it for 2 months until the system actually comes out, and now wiped out due to Trump's tariffs. So like, screw that guy.
I wonder how many other products this is happening to.
A
too.
lot.
Like other people that are into something that they would have had to buy.
They said the next iPhone could be over $3,000.
Oh my gosh.
That is expensive for a phone. Like, who's going to absolutely pay that?
Right,
well,
like-
how are you going to pay less, Riley? It's all manufactured overseas.
I
and you
know,
gotta pay
it's
the tariff
absolutely.
on the way.
This is absurd. Does this even does this Thug and Chief even know what the hell he's talking about anymore?
No. And we know this.
Yeah.
We don't know if he's doing things to harm Americans on purpose or not. Is what's
It's on
always
purpose.
scary.
It's absolutely on purpose.
I agree with Rich. This is absolutely on purpose. This is controlled. He's a controlled man. I think he's there because the globalists, whoever the hell these globalists are, want him there to give them an excuse to bring in their financial dictatorship.
We know it's controlled because, again, this is Econ 101 stuff. And this is Econ 101 stuff even in like the Keynesian tradition. Like
it's not just
it's not just the Austrians or the monetarists going like, bro, this is a bad idea. It's like Keynesians knew this as well, right? And it's how do I want to put this calmly? The tariffs hurt Americans, and any country that has a tariff on like American imports into their country are hurting their own population. Like their population has to pay more for American goods, right? And so in order to make those countries pay for harming their population, like Trump goes like, we got to hurt Americans too. The only way to get back at those dirty commies for hurting their countrymen is to hurt our countrymen too.
Well, Trump's making the excuse, well, it's just a short-term pain for long-term gains. What a retard.
I keep hearing it too.
Trump's an absolute
what's the long-term gain?
Well, here's an example
if
of how
if they remove tariffs, if China lifts tariffs,
Israel already did.
Okay, if Israel lifts tariffs, like that benefits Israel citizens.
Yeah,
it's
but
smart.
Exactly. It would be great for them to both then Israel or America being like, well, it's reciprocal. Then we're gonna remove ours too. But
Americans,
that's not what he's done so far.
Right. But even if that's what he did, even if Israel kept the tariffs, the best thing for Americans is to not have tariffs. Because it's good. Not having tariffs is good for like the country that you're in.
But he actually did the opposite. It's like so Israel took their tariffs to zero.
Right.
And instead of saying, "Oh yeah, since it's reciprocal, we're not going to put any tariffs on Israeli imports." Instead, they hit them with I had the thing up, but they hit them with a I think 14% or something like that tariff.
Right.
Israel 17%.
So
and,
good for Israel.
Bad for us.
Bad for Americans.
And the thing is that that's not how reciprocal works. But of course, their thing that they would tell you is, oh, it doesn't mean tariff for tariff. It has to do with the trade deficit, which they
which is a non-issue. It's a dumb metric.
Yeah,
it's
who cares
foolish.
if somebody else
doesn't
makes more
mean
money?
Anything.
It's what is it supposed to mean? Just like, well, they make more money with trading to us than we make trading to them.
Well, yes and no. So anytime you have trade, right, both sides benefit as long as it's not the government getting involved, right? Like, the best article that I've seen on this so far is like my trade deficit with Safeway. right? Like when you shop at the grocery store, you run a trade deficit with the grocery store because you're buying from them and they're not buying from you. But that's okay because they're getting worthless pieces of paper and you're getting groceries.
Yeah.
So having goods is better than having worthless pieces of paper. So if America is like running a trade deficit with China, like we're buying more Chinese goods than the China's buying American goods, like who cares, right? Because the people who are buying the goods are better off. Like we're better off. That's why we trade it. You know, it's not, unless it's the government forcing a product or a service and making you buy something, right? It's voluntary trade. You know, maybe you make a bad decision, you buy something you shouldn't have bought, you burn a pan, and we're like, it wasn't a good idea to buy the pan or whatever, right? But that, you know, in the moment, it was a good value for you, right? You traded worthless pieces of paper and you got a physical product. So like running a trade deficit means you're wealthy in goods and services.
Interesting. So yeah, they put here that we have a negative $7.43 billion trade deficit with Israel. So that was his reasoning for, even though the fact that they preemptively dropped their tariffs to 0, which, you know, like you said, it only helps them.
Right. And again, foolish, because Israel's a smaller country. They have less people to buy American goods, right? So why would you expect them to buy an equal amount of goods as you're buying from them?
Yeah. That makes no sense.
Foolish. It's a dumb metric. It's a non-metric. They throw it out there. It means absolutely nothing. And they're basing tariffs off not even tariffs. They're basing reciprocal tariffs off not even a measurement of the actual tariffs that are being implemented.
Yeah, like a lot of people thought that like it's like if Taiwan had a 32% tariff on us, then we put a 32% tariff on them. But it's actually not the case. Like they put a 32% tariff on Taiwan, but they didn't have the same tariff on us, quote unquote. Plus, they actually dropped theirs lower before this happened.
But again, even if it were, let's assume for a moment that Taiwan has a 32% tariff on the United States, right? Taiwanese citizens are worse off because of that tariff. And the United States put the 32% reciprocal tariff on Taiwan. Now, Americans who are better off buying Taiwanese goods are now just worse off buying Taiwanese goods. And in the event that they change and they decide, well, with the tariff, Taiwanese goods are more expensive, I'm now going to buy American, which is where you get your American manufacturing. Now you're getting a worse product, more expensive.
Yeah.
So you're not even better off with the trade.
So my question is this. If tariffs harm other countries, then why do countries keep using them?
Because they're also idiots. And the government is in charge.
Well, think about
the only thing it does is allow the state to pick winners and losers.
Yeah, it really does.
So if they have a tariff on, you know, like steel or whatever it happens to be, you can rest assured that steel producer, right, has a friend in the government and lobbied them to put the tariff so that you can't get cheaper steel from
elsewhere.
From elsewhere.
Yeah, just you have to buy
local, and you're worse off for it. You're getting a worse product, more expensive than if the tariff wasn't there.
Yep. They're always doing things that are different than what they're saying it's for in so many different aspects. I remember when they were putting the what is it called when they were putting on Russia when Russia first bombed? Sanctions. When they were putting the sanctions on Russia, they had all kinds of unintended consequences, and Russia was able to get around them and be better off, and it didn't help them. And one thing is that it actually hurts the people of Russia, and basically 0% affects the government.
It just goes to show that governments are absolute terrorist organizations and full of psychopaths that don't care about the average person.
Yes.
Like trade and the ability to trade things freely, it affects people's whole entire lives. It's life or death. And these people are just playing around with it. And it's actually really gross the way Trump is just so flippantly playing around with it.
I
said this in the beginning, right? Who cares if America isn't known as like a great manufacturing state? Like it doesn't need to be. The manufacturing is already being done better, cheaper elsewhere. You don't need to do it here more expensively. And again, like let's assume for a moment that he brings back all these manufacturing jobs and they move the plants over here. Like where are those workers going to come from? Right? Like the people who worked at the factory like 40 years ago, have moved on to other things, right? The educational system is not set up necessarily for like factory work. You know, we specialize in other things. So where are you going to get all the factory workers from? You're going to pay them more to switch jobs from whatever they're doing now? Okay, that's fine, right? But then how are you going to manufacture it cheaper? You're not.
Yeah, you're not.
So it's still going to be more expensive.
I think a lot of this comes from the whole idea that everybody has seen, at least online, if not in person, the devastation of the Rust Belt, and people will get in their feelings like, wouldn't it be nice if this rundown Rust Belt town, and if you don't know what that means, it's mostly in the Midwest. I've seen a town like it in New Hampshire called Charlestown. Used to be a thriving industry there, and then, well, maybe the industry ended up, like, maybe that company even went overseas, and a bunch of people lost their jobs at once, and usually it was like some big, like there's a mill in Charlestown. It does look rusty.
Yeah, but are they going to come back to that job? Or have they moved on to other jobs?
They've moved on to other jobs.
Yeah, they've moved on. They've done different things. And that's the whole point of the market, is that you can move on and do better things. We don't have to revitalize manufacturing in America if we can do it better and cheaper elsewhere.
And
go ahead.
Well, J.D. Vance comes from the Rust Belt, so I wonder if this has anything to do with him.
Oh, yeah, probably.
And the other thing I have to say is that there's this idea that so many people have that it's not innate to me because of being a military brat, that it's like, well, it's where I'm from, and that matters so much.
Yeah, so be known for something else.
Well,
right?
You can just move. Yeah.
You can either move or be known for something else. You don't have to sit there and be like, I just want my old manufacturing. You don't have to live that way, dude.
It is like sad.
Detroit was known for cars.
1950s America anymore. Yeah. Grow up.
Doesn't have to be anymore. You can be known for something else.
It's really, really, you can get in your feelings about like a location, and you can get sentimental about it. I understand that. But at the end of the day, like if you care about your life and your family, you should be able to move. It's the same way I feel about libertarians who are like, oh, it's so tyrannical in the state I live in, but I have to live here. It's where I'm from. It's like, no, you don't. You can move.
I'm from Utah. I left Utah, and I'm here, so you can move.
And some people will say, well, you have to manufacture in the United States because you don't want your supply chain dependent on another country in case you go to war with that country. Well, don't go to war with that country.
Don't go to war with that country, dude. Is that so hard to figure out?
If you're solid trading partners, just be nice. You don't have to go to war with everybody. If you got good trade and free trade and everyone's happy, you're not going to go to war.
If goods don't cross borders, bullets will.
Yes. So you're setting yourself up for bullets instead of goods. It's the exact opposite.
I almost wonder if Trump's purposely trying to crash the economy so he can take us to war with Iran.
That's plausible. Now, I talked to Aria briefly about this. Like, I messaged her again because she's who I talk to about video games and other stuff. I'm like, where can you hit Trump where this will matter to him? Because it's a lame duck presidency. You know, he doesn't need the money.
Gold.
Gold. What do you mean gold?
Because that's his favorite thing.
Okay, well, but if gold prices are going up, right, because the dollar's crashing, then he's fine.
Dang it.
Right, but her answer was his legacy. So the whatever the counter argument against Trump, whatever the rebuttal against Trump is, like, you have to attack his legacy.
What about gold paint? It's not necessarily made of gold.
Okay.
So attack that industry.
Well, I'm saying attack Trump's legacy.
No, that's a much better idea.
Right? Like, he has to be known as, like, the tariff man will make him the worst president ever. Worse than Joe Biden. We would have been better off with Kamala, even if that might not be entirely true. Right? Like, this has to mark him as the worst ever.
Yeah.
Right? Don't even think about a third term, because even if you were qualified for re-election, you wouldn't get voted for because you botched this so terribly. Worst president in history. Like, that's the only thing to attack him on.
He's not gonna try to get voted in again because that is explicitly illegal in the Constitution. But I saw where they were saying the way that he would likely try to do it is that he would run J.D. Vance or some other person who's very loyal to him. And that person would get elected because that person got voted in, and they would get inaugurated and then immediately say, I'm stepping down as president. And Trump would have run as the vice president.
Okay.
That makes Trump the vice president, but he didn't get elected 3 times, and that's not illegal. That's insane.
That is a weird loophole, I guess.
And so people would be voting for J.D. Vance knowing that they were voting for Trump.
Then I still say if that's the loophole that they're going to flow through.
I don't know.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, if that's the loophole that they're going to flow through, the Democrats run whoever with Barack Obama as
Bernie.
vice president.
Yeah, that would actually work
oh my
too.
God, that would be insane.
Yeah.
That's the
But
battle
if-
everybody wants. Barack Obama versus Donald Trump, third
yes.
term on the line.
Yes, I would love to see that show, man. It'd be
That would
awesome.
be a terrifying show. That would not be a good show because first of all,
It would absolutely be a good show.
Oh, dude. No, you don't. Well, when you
It'd be
stop
good, but
when
terrifying.
you realize the state is not real
It's
and just
real.
an illusion, it's gonna be a fun show.
It's real. It really affects people. That's the problem.
It does. But Barack Obama, very eloquent, good debater. Trump's
Still
a moron.
very loved, yeah.
Still very beloved. Best they've ever produced.
Pretty
if you're
young.
a Democrat.
Like,
Still
what,
well
50s?
within the age. Yeah.
Like
So-
40 years younger than Trump.
Whatever. So if Trump goes for 3, you put Barack up there. You have the run for 3, and see who pulls it off.
That's insane.
And if they're not thinking about that, if I'm the only person thinking about that, you're welcome because I
my
want to see it.
goodness. Yeah,
Bring back Barack.
That can be your way to leverage something against Trump. Just go start talking on Twitter and giving them that Obama idea.
Yeah.
And Trump won't like that. And make sure you put in there that it's because Trump has ruined his legacy with these tariffs.
Yeah.
And make sure you put like, I was a Trump supporter.
And they tried to prevent it. Like one of the first bills that tried to open up the third term tried to prevent it by saying you can run for a third term if you weren't already elected to 2 consecutive terms. And that would have eliminated Barack Obama because he's already been elected to 2 consecutive terms, whereas Trump had not. Right. So, that's the loophole to keep Barack out of it. So they're onto it.
Whoa.
Right. The Republicans know that's the play.
Wow.
Right. Joe
You must be
Biden,
right.
they won with Joe Biden, Kamala, Hillary, But if you throw Barack Obama back in there, the Democrats have a shot.
Oh, I'm
and
sure
that
they do.
battle
Yeah.
would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be an amazing
It was
show.
the insult from Barack Obama that like spurred Trump on to begin with. Because Barack Obama said something like, call me what you want, but at least for the rest of the time, you're going to call me Mr. President. And Trump was like, you think so, huh? Like they're going to call me Mr. President too. And that's one of the impetuses for him running to begin with.
I remember hearing that, but I forgot that it was Obama that said it.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like Trump is actually breaking with Elon Musk on this tariff issue, and people are even rumoring that they're in a fight. I don't know if I believe that, because you can just say that, But it says Elon Musk says he wants a zero tariff situation and a free trade zone for Europe amid Trump's trade war. In streamed remarks at an event hosted by Italy's right-wing deputy prime minister, Musk said Europe and the U.S. should move to a zero tariff situation.
Yes. Regardless of what the other countries are doing, because their tariffs only hurt their people.
He said, wait, is this Elon talking? I think it's Musk talking. So it says, I hope it is agreed that both Europe and the United States should move, ideally, in my view, to a zero tariff situation, effectively creating a free trade zone between Europe and North America. Musk told the League of Congress, an event hosted Saturday by right-wing Italian Deputy Prime Minister Matteo Salvini. He added, that's what I hope occurs, and also more freedom of people to move between Europe and North America if they wish. If they wish to work in Europe or wish to work in America, they should be allowed to do so, in my view. That has certainly been my advice to the president.
Well, president's clearly not taking that advice.
Yeah.
That might be like the smartest thing Elon has said.
Yeah. Maybe he actually is being influenced by all the libertarian stuff he says he's influenced by. He always posts, Mises and Rothbard and stuff. Sometimes just the book covers.
Yeah.
And it makes people go wild. And I'm like, well, what has he actually said that makes it seem like he's actually read this or cares?
Yeah.
But it looks like maybe he has.
Free movement of free people and free trade across free borders.
That sounds awesome. Like if it was just super easy to go work in a European country for a while.
It should be. What
Yeah.
makes it so difficult?
Laws.
Government. Yes. Thank you, Riley.
Criminal gangs calling themselves governments.
You show up somewhere else. You go like, I have the skills to do this, and they go like, oh, you're hired. Like that's as complicated as that situation ought to be. And people coming here, right? Go like, I have the skills to do this. Well, you're hired.
Yeah.
Like, it's as complicated as it needs
But
to be.
no, so-called countries want their stupid paperwork.
Yep.
Yeah, foolishness. Just layer upon layer of nonsense bureaucracy preventing people from being productive.
It says Trump announced tariff this week on some of the country's largest trading partners. The United States is set to impose, but already did at this point, 20% tariff on the European Union under his plan. Markets plunged Thursday, the day after Trump's announcement, as the S&P 500 index fell nearly 5%, the Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped 4%, and the Nasdaq plummeted 6%, with all three posting some of the largest declines since the start of the COVID pandemic in 2020.
I don't think
That's bad.
I don't think that sounds that bad to me, honestly. Like, the stock market can afford to take a major hit.
Yeah.
Ian was explaining...
I'm also poor, so, like, I don't care.
Well, Ian was explaining to me the stocks in terms of Bitcoin, and I was like, I get it now. And all it really means is just, like, people started panic selling, and, you put up something for a certain price, but it goes for a lower price. It gets bought for a lower price than that, and it's like, I don't know. They always make it sound a lot scarier than it is. Even with Bitcoin, when I finally got explained that to me years ago, it seems like a bigger deal when the price plummets and people freak out. I mean, plummet is different than like...
The concern with the stocks is not so much that, that the price is dropping, like, fine. It's can the company exist and sustain through the tariff season, right? Because if you can't compete, and now there's tariffs that are blocking you in some form, the reciprocal tariffs means you can't sell your product overseas, and no one's going to buy overseas. Well, then the company goes out of business, right? So if you're holding stock in a company that's a major exporter and they're facing all those reciprocal tariffs, who are they going to sell to? If there's no domestic market for it, you just fold.
And these tariffs are on top of a whole bunch of other crap that people have to pay to sell in other countries. Like Mr. Penguin, who's on the show sometimes, he talks about crap like value-added taxes he has to pay, and that people have to pay to buy from him because he runs a store. There's all kinds of things that you have to pay to sell to other countries, and should it be just as easy as someone in another country wants to buy a thing from you and they're willing to get it shipped to them. 603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live. More coming up. Don't go anywhere. More Free Talk Live.
A congressman recently revealed that legislation totaling 2,900 pages and involving more than $1 trillion was available to members of Congress for less than 48 hours to study and consider. That's over 60 pages of legislation per hour. Do you think anyone read the entire bill? I'm Jim Babka with DownsizeDC.org. Consider a proposal buried in a 3,200-page, $388 billion bill, which would have empowered committee chairmen or their agents to examine Americans' tax returns. When this horrible provision came to light, no one claimed to know how it got into the bill. One congressman questioned said, "I didn't write it, I didn't approve it, I wasn't even consulted." If your attorney represented you this way, he might be disbarred. But this is how Congress represents you every day. That's why DownsizeDC.org has created the Read the Bills Act. You can force Congress to read their bills before they pass them at DownsizeDC.org.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Caroline Malone with the Week in Review. The Trump administration is defending its announcement of sweeping global tariffs as US trading partners retaliate. Markets have plunged since President Donald Trump announced the duties at a base rate of 10%, but much higher for many of 100-plus countries. World leaders have condemned the import taxes that would amount to the highest trade barriers given in more than a century. Kate Fisher reports from Washington.
Most economists predict the effects won't be limited to the financial markets, but will also raise prices for consumers and businesses. But administration officials like Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick defended the tariffs, saying they would create manufacturing jobs at home and open up export markets abroad.
You're going to see American production start to rise and finally be fair.
The tariffs comprise a 10% baseline tax on all imports, as well as higher duties on some of the US's biggest trading partners. Kate Fisher, Washington.
On Friday, China said it would slap 34% tariffs on all imports of US goods in retaliation for those duties unveiled by US President Donald Trump. Laura Westbrook has more from Hong Kong.
Beijing is showing it has no intention of backing down when it comes to a trade war with the United States, as well as matching President Trump's 34% additional tariffs on goods from the US. China also imposed export controls on 7 rare earth elements used in medical technology and consumer electronics. The Ministry of Commerce said it was adding 11 American companies to its list of unreliable entities that essentially bars them from doing business in China.
More than a week after the 7.7 magnitude earthquake in Myanmar, well over 3,000 people are now known to have died. The United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres says the disaster has laid bare the deep vulnerabilities facing people throughout the country. He's accused the military or junta of limiting critically needed humanitarian aid for those earthquake victims. The UN says in the days following the quake last week, the military continued operations and attacks, including airstrikes. Jody Jacobs reports from New York.
The appeal from the United Nations is for the attacks and airstrikes from the military to stop. According to official data shared with journalists on Friday, the UN Human Rights Office reported at least 61 attacks across Myanmar since the disaster happened, including 16 since a ceasefire was announced by the military, which was supposed to take effect from April the 2nd. The UN has urged a halt to all military operations and for the focus to be on assisting those impacted by the earthquake. An appeal has now been made by the World Body's Refugee Agency for $16 million to support 1.2 million survivors. The Secretary General on Thursday deployed his humanitarian chief, Tom Fletcher, to the country. Jody Jacobs, New York.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN. The White House is reportedly drawing up an assessment of how much it would cost to take control of Greenland. US President Donald Trump has set his sights on acquiring the island as a way, he says, to shore up US security. Well, the people of Greenland are overwhelmingly against the idea. Many also want independence from Denmark, which oversees the autonomous territory. Nick Harper reports from Washington.
The Danish-owned but autonomously run island is a target of President Donald Trump, who says it's vital for US security. According to the Washington Post, a cost estimate is being drawn up that would include providing government services to its population of just 58,000 residents, and looking for ways to generate revenue from the island's natural resources. The US president maintains the US will 100% get Greenland, although Denmark says it's not for sale. I'm Nick Harper in Washington.
Far-right French political opposition figure Marine Le Pen is appealing a conviction against her for embezzlement, with a trial date now set for early 2026. If the French opposition leader is cleared, she would be free to contest the next presidential election in 2027. But if not, it creates a different political scene for future elections. Ross Cullen reports.
The appeal trial is due to take place early next year, with a decision due next summer. The judges could exonerate Marine Le Pen, clearing the path for her to participate in the presidential election, which recent polls showed that she would likely win at the fourth attempt. But there is also a risk that judges could lessen the sentence but still find her guilty, or impose the same sentence, confirming that she would be barred from contesting the election due to take place in April 2027. Ross Cullen, Paris.
I'm Caroline Malone in Washington, and that was the Week in Review.
We turn to Washington, D.C., where America's roommates are holding a rally as part of their new One Vote Doesn't Matter political action campaign. The rally, which drew thousands of roommates, ranging from the guy who keeps all of his groceries in his room to the guy whose name the lease is under, is just a part of a surging grassroots movement to spread the message that one person's vote can't make a difference if you really, really think about it.
You know, this is like the most important election of our lifetime. We just want to get the word out that it's already been decided in some smoke-filled boardroom. You know, I pretty much minored in poli-sci, so I think I get this stuff.
Joining us now is Jason Copeland at a rally in the nation's capital. Jason, how would you describe the energy there?
Yeah, hi, Andrea. I'd say it's a definite chill vibe. I just saw the roommate whose only friend seems to be his younger brother and the guy who just has an air mattress in his room passing out flyers together. Now, the roommates do make some interesting points. The Electoral College it is weird.
This is the Onion News Network.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. That means that you can call 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160 and bring up whatever's on your mind. And Free Talk Live is brought to you by LibertyMinded.com. Official Free Talk Live gear, like t-shirts and hoodies, are available at LibertyMinded.com. Plus, you'll find a unique collection of cool and funny Liberty-oriented clothing at LibertyMinded.com. That's LibertyMinded.com. And with you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
Riley.
And Richie Rich.
And we do already have a caller on the line. Gonna see if this caller has something they want to talk about. Unscreened caller, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Apparently, Gonzaga level economics doesn't teach you to look beyond the immediate effects of a policy like a true reciprocal tariff.
No, it does. There's the seen and the unseen.
No, shut up. No, I'm talking about the immediate effects versus the long-term effects. I'm talking about game theory. I'm talking about game theory shows that a tit-for-tat strategy can be beneficial in the long run, even though you suffer short-term losses.
Can be. It's hard.
So if I'm harming myself, then somebody else harming themselves is going to somehow make things better for both of us. It doesn't make any sense.
You got to stop being a high time preference monkey, Bonnie. You got to look in the long run. It's just like an investment, Bonnie. Just because you have an immediate capital outlay doesn't mean you're going to take a loss in the end. It'll pay off if you can get them to lower tariffs earlier than they would have if you didn't have reciprocal tariffs. You understand that?
I never understood why high time preference.
Go ahead, Bonnie.
I never understood why high time preference is the people who prefer immediate gratification. Because wouldn't it make more sense if they were the low time preference people? Like, no, I prefer it to be low the time that I wait. So every time somebody says that to me, I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta Google it.
Gratification.
So anyways, like I just said what it means.
It should be the opposite.
I'm saying it should be the opposite based on the name, and it's so dumb. So he's saying that I'm just a person who wants immediate gratification, and that's why I don't understand why tariffs are actually good for us. Reciprocal tariffs.
Yes. If your friend stabs themselves, the best way to help them is to stab yourself too.
The best way to help them.
That's game theory. Game theory.
That's retarded.
But if it prevents them from stabbing themselves in the future, like, so if you increase the,
don't stab yourself twice, bro. If you stab yourself twice, I'm gonna stab myself twice. You don't want to see me stab myself twice, do you? I'll stab myself 3 times. I'll get ahead of you on this.
Let's say he would have stabbed himself 4 times if he didn't increase his amount of stabbings in the immediate term.
Who's gonna go out and help you guys if you're alone?
Right? The net benefit is a
okay, I'm going on to 5.
You need to read.
I'm going on to 6.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but the individual benefit is I don't get stabbed. Like, he can stab himself 100 times, and if I don't get stabbed once, I'm better off.
Do you remember, Nash? You need to restudy tit for tat. I think you didn't understand that when you took game theory. But this now I want to talk about trade. Trade isn't enough to stop imperialist dictators from taking your property. And it damn sure isn't enough from stopping more productive actors from taking your property in a market system. You know what demand is? Apparently, Gonzaga has failed you to teach you what demand is too.
Go on, tell me what demand is, because I'm pretty sure my stance has always been you have to defend your property. And if there's a market demand for defense, there'll be suppliers of defense.
You know what demand is? Demand is not only the desire for the item, but the ability to pay for to bring it about. Right? You don't have the ability to protect yourself from more productive people.
It's the desire, because there's people on the demand curve that can't afford the price. They want it at this price. What? They can't get it at this price.
Demand.
It is. It's part of the demand curve. It's on the curve.
No, demand is actual demand is what you can actually pay for, right?
No, I'm saying it's the desire, and it's part of the curve.
No, you have to be able to pay
I really
for
want the Ferrari. I can't afford it.
Half of demand. What's that?
I said I really want a Ferrari. I can't afford it.
Then it's not on your demand curve, is it?
It's on my demand curve, just not at the price I can afford.
I'd like a house, but I can't afford it.
Right.
So it's on my demand curve.
It's on my demand curve.
No, it's not. It's not on your demand curve.
It is, Peter.
It's the problem with the elasticity of supply.
There's no units at that price on your demand curve.
That's why I'm not buying.
That's why I'm not buying it.
Why am I teaching economics? Did you understand my point?
I don't need your economic lessons, dude. I think I understand economics better than you do.
No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because trade won't protect you. You have to be the most efficient with the piece of property in order for it to be protected for you by society because of comparative advantage.
No, you don't. You don't have to be the most effective. We've already covered this. We've gone over this many times. I don't. My farm doesn't have to be productive for my neighbors to go like, I'm not going to steal that farm from Rich because that's his farm.
Yes, it will.
No, it won't.
It will. Yes, you have because you're incurring an economic loss to society.
It's not to society. It's a personal economic loss.
Yes, it is to society.
How many people just have like gardens in their yard and their neighbors don't take it over?
Right.
That's
a great example, Bonnie.
Because we have democratic rules that protect Lockean property already.
I don't think it's just that. I'm pretty sure that there's nothing that targets the house because the garden didn't.
If it weren't for Lockean protection agencies, your neighbor would just steal your flowers every chance they got.
Especially if they're more productive with the piece of property.
They should have planted pumpkins, not flowers. So I'm just going to steal these flowers
and plant pumpkins. Yes.
Take over the whole house.
This is Skeeter's philosophy.
You
just sound like somebody who hasn't really interacted with a whole bunch of people, let alone your neighbors.
No, well, you can't look at current society because we're in a system that artificially protects Lockean rights.
But you still have to be able to say that that's what humans would do in this other case. You still have to be able to say this is how humans would behave without these specific laws.
I know that's not true because if I had a neighbor, I wouldn't steal from them, regardless of what society dictates.
Fallacy.
And most people would.
Evolution would punish you for not doing so. Market actors are rational, right?
No, it would be a reciprocal agreement. Like, hey, dude, I'm not going to steal your flowers and plant my pumpkins if you don't steal my pumpkins and plant your flowers.
Why
and they go like, great.
Why would I want to go into that agreement with you when you're incurring an economic loss to society?
Why?
When you're owning something and
because
you're not the most
because the
with
cost of crossing me could result in death.
I think Skeeter is just extremely. He just really. Maybe he doesn't.
They absolutely consider that.
Maybe he doesn't leave his basement enough because it's like he doesn't understand how freaking large the Earth is. Like there's enough people making food elsewhere in your community that you can easily like travel a little bit to get food and not need that one specific garden and that one little side of your neighbor's yard to be producing, or else we're all gonna die.
And that's a smaller example of like the comparative advantages. Right, someone else is better at making food, so I don't make food. I buy from them. Right, like my buddy asked me that a long time ago. Where he's like, why do you work here, Rich? I'm like, because I can't grow my own food. Like I can do this. I'm very good at this. I'm not good at farming. Right, so I do this. I get paid to do this, and then I trade that for farm goods so that I can eat. But if I had to farm, right, I'd be worse off because I wouldn't be as good as the guy who already is a farmer.
Yeah.
So let them do the farming.
A lot of people like on the internet it's like ever since this whole, and thank you for the call, Skeeter. He didn't convince me that tariffs are good or anything.
No, I'm not convinced either.
This thing
or the reciprocal effect of stabbing everybody 20 times is good for both parties eventually.
That's no different than that one joke or whatever where it's like somebody reached like there was like two people reaching down to grab a $20 bill. Dang it, I forgot. No, there's a turd on the ground, and two economists are walking by, and one economist pays the other to $20 in order to eat a turd.
Yep.
And then they walk a little further, there's another turd, so the other economist pays that economist $20 to eat the poop. Now they've both eaten poop and neither have made any more money, but they say
GDP's gone up $40.
Yeah, the GDP has gone up $40.
Right.
That's the same thing as what Skeeter was trying to figure out with his stabbing thing. I hope I told that story in a way that made sense to the listeners, but yeah. $20 just got traded back and forth. Now you've both eaten poop.
Yeah. Nothing happened. GDP goes up, so that's good. That's a good metric, right? GDP's got to go up. GDP's gone up. Both sides are equally, financially the same, right? But now both of them have eaten poop.
I'm not sure if we're supposed to say that on there. It just occurred to me, but it happened. But we do have a number 2 story.
Oh, go for it.
And I think this is number 2 because really all we've talked
The number 2 story.
Tariffs so far.
I love it. The number 2 story is coming back.
Police chief pooped by desks. Spiked coffee with Viagra. Oh, other people's coffee. For some reason, that didn't occur to me.
Yeah. No. This is if it wasn't a cop, this would be hilarious, right? This is good old fashioned college humor.
Oh.
Pranking your friend.
I think it's hilarious because he's doing it to other cops.
Also good.
Yeah.
Also good. Right.
So
but
crazy, man.
This is just like dude stuff.
Oh my god.
Hey man, how's your coffee? I don't know. Something's going on.
Oh my god. That's horrible. See, that's why I'm not a man. Okay.
Yes. It's definitely dude bro stuff. It's hilarious. If it wasn't the police chief doing it, it would be hilarious. But the fact that he's doing it to other cops makes it okay.
It's kind of hilarious because it's like this person just went like absolutely crazy.
As the police chief.
And he's afflicting these other cops, so I still accept it as hilarious.
This is like Super Trooper level.
Says
bitch can't write a ticket with a boner.
Ew. It says a police chief in Hudson County, but where is this? I think New Jersey, because it says New Jersey Advance Media for NewJersey.com.
All right. Reputable news source.
So,
exactly.
A police chief in Hudson County is being accused of assaulting and harassing his officers in a lengthy list of complaints that includes defecating on floors, which is probably how we should say it on the air, exposing himself, attempting to drug coworkers, and sticking a hypodermic needle into an officer's penis. What the heck? What is wrong with this person? How is he allowed to get away with this for so long?
Because he's the chief of police.
Yeah, well, he's the chief of
He only
police. He
answers
gets
to the mayor.
expose himself.
If he was like a rookie on the force, probably not.
Well, Chief Robert Farley. Oh, he's just a funny guy like Chris Farley.
Okay.
That's all it is. It says Chief Robert Farley, who was appointed chief of the North Bergen Police Department in February 2024, is also accused of retaliating against an officer who attempted to report him. So that's another reason he has still got away with it for so long. To the New Jersey...
It's an internal affairs issue.
So he retaliated against an officer who attempted to report him to the New Jersey Attorney General, according to court documents. Wow, bad guy. So 5 police officers in North Bergen said they plan to sue over Farley's alleged behavior, which also includes claims of retaliation, discrimination, sexual misconduct, and harassment. It said Farley did not respond to several phone messages and an email seeking comment on allegations, which are contained in notices of intent to sue. The mayor of North Bergen also did not respond. But we do have a caller on the line, so let's see what they want to talk about. Jet, somewhere in the western United States, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind? Oh, Jet. I clicked the wrong button. Sorry, it's not his fault.
Come on, Bonnie.
Sorry, I clicked the wrong button, Jet. What's on your mind?
Well, let's see. I was thinking about the psychos we refer to as the GOV. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of looked up on the Googler of how many people are participating in this thing. And it says about 20 million in all levels of the U.S. government. And
those are the people that need to find new jobs.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things I wanted to mention.
Hands off,
was
Richie.
That one of the scariest things about that is these 20 million people are not the same 20 million as there were yesterday. Meaning, those people who have quit, retired, got fired, whatever, died. Somebody else comes in every other day. And so this mass of people who have this mindset that they're in charge, they're your overlords, changes periodically, maybe even rapidly over the years. And that, to me, is one of the scariest things. Now, out of that 20 million, the Googler says about 800,000 are in law enforcement.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what the breakdown is, if that's 4 out of every 10 or whatever. But,
have you ever seen Larkin Rose's video on YouTube, The Tiny Dot?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
What's that about? I haven't.
Yeah.
You should watch it then, Bonnie. It's similar to what Jet is expressing. It's to illustrate that despite their violence towards the average person, they are significantly outnumbered by the regular populace. Mm-hmm. And once the regular populace realizes that they have the numbers advantage, the game's over.
That makes a lot of sense, because when I was a kid, I grew up on a lot of military bases.
Yeah.
Like, not everywhere I lived did I live on the military base, but even if I didn't, I would go on to it for like grocery shopping and stuff. And what I learned when I was like in high school, that maybe they said that the whole military, but maybe it was just the army, was less than 1% of the United States population. I was like, whoa, that seems impossible.
Yep.
That's insane. Like, all these people I have met in my life, and that's only 1% or less of the United States population? Well, yep, it's true.
It was also a lesson taught to children in the movie Ants, right? The grasshoppers can't let the ants know that how much they outnumber them with the numbers. Otherwise, they can't control the ants. So once the general public, right, goes like, well, there's like, 300 million of us and only 20 million of them. And of that 20 million, only 800,000 are actually enforcers of the law. Well, you can incur some losses and get them all down.
Indeed.
Yeah, there's a couple other statistics that are kind of interesting to me, and that's with other countries. Now, I don't know the breakdown within these other countries, but for example, we say in the U.S. here we have about 350 million people. I'm sure that includes babies as well. Now, Russia only lists 150 million, although the landmass is twice as large as the U.S. And China boasts into the billions of people with a landmass half the size of the United States.
We don't have to get into it, but I'm just going to read you a quick headline, Jet, because again, it's moderately related. The science may have miscalculated the number of people on Earth by billions.
Oh my God.
Whoa.
So they're saying there's even more billions?
Or less. I don't, we could get into it, but like they don't know the true number. So like these are all estimates based on, government censuses here and there and wherever, but they're wrong by a lot.
There are tons of times when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, there's no way there are 8 billion people. I don't believe it. And then there's something that'll happen, like maybe I'll drive through Boston and I'm like, yep, I actually changed my mind. I believe it.
Yeah.
I'm
so,
back and forth,
Real quick from the article, 8.2 billion is the official number, but rural populations may be significantly undercounted. So there may be a lot more people in those rural areas than they think. Go on.
Yeah, what's also funny is you hear the statistic and 4 out of this many people didn't participate in that study, and they're going, how do we know who didn't participate? It's like, but anyway, getting back to other parts of the world, they're talking about the Greenland thing, and there's only 57,000 people there, supposedly, in this huge area. Why hasn't Trump discussed the idea of giving everybody $100,000 if they become part of the U.S.? It's like, it's like, wouldn't that influence someone?
Yeah. I mean, they could set it up like Alaska, right? If you're a resident of Greenland or whatever, you get some percentage of the natural resource revenue from exploration.
Oh.
Yeah, things like that. Where it doesn't have to be. I mean, it can be very persuasive to just say, "Hey, you can benefit in this way."
Well,
But,
and that
it's like
that would
every
be
woman-
okay, right? If he was persuading, if he was saying like, "Well, we think you could. We kind of want here, make it like the Louisiana Purchase, right? We're going to buy it," but he was like, "Well, we're getting it. Come hell or high water. We're going to take it by force if necessary." And I don't think that's the message you want to be sending to people. It's very imperialistic.
Hasn't the U.S. given like over $200 billion or something to Ukraine?
Okay.
I don't know, a bunch of billion.
So giving everyone in Greenland $100,000 is just a couple billion.
Yeah,
sure.
So,
but now
So,
you're
yeah, I think
you're
there's a-
bribing them to be disloyal to their nation.
well, they say that they're what do you call it? They're independent, or what's the word for it? Self-sustaining. In other words, under Denmark, but still autonomous.
Okay.
However that works.
Works like Canada, who's still under the king. Right?
Okay.
People forget, like all that talk about Trump, and the governor of Canada. It's like you're negotiating with the wrong dude. If you're gonna like take over Canada, you got to go through the king. And there were like secret talks with the king about it, that came out later.
Trump made some weird joke where he was like, maybe we will join the British Crown, and apparently he came out later and said it was a joke, but
yeah,
creepy.
Creepy.
Definitely
He's a
not
creepy
America. I mean, American.
Yeah, some people still say that we here on the U.S. is under the crown. So who knows?
What do you
how
do
it
with the
all
last? What do you do with the last Greenlander that goes like, "I'll take $1 million, make it 10 million." You've got all these people on the hook for like 100,000, but you can't do it without my vote. So I'll take 10 million.
Yeah, I
Prince
think they
and
should.
10 million.
You think they should pay him the 10 million?
Yeah.
All right.
They have the secret,
No, I
secret
think they
computers.
should. I think they should hold out and say, "I'll take whatever it is, as long as as long as I can live in a tiny house and eat food every day."
No, because the minute the United States takes it over, in order to protect it, they're going to put up military bases. They're going to send all the troops over there to keep that shipping channel open to protect it from whatever Russian and Chinese invasion. It's going to be a military outpost.
Is that why he's suddenly interested in Greenland? It's a military thing?
Yeah.
It's pretty scary. Yeah, I'd be
there's
more
already
scared
a
if I was there.
at least one.
Oh yeah, there is a military base there, and they used to have like an underground thing there that they were watching nuclear people. Well, every time Jet calls in, we need to remind people, don't just say government, call them what they really are: leeches, crooks, enforcers, grifters, jackboots, shakedown artists, badge waving bloodsuckers, form filing freeloaders, pompous pocket pickers. More Free Talk Live coming up.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing. To be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Stuart Smith. Delegations from the so-called Coalition of the Willing are set to meet in Ukraine on Friday. President Volodymyr Zelensky says it'll be the first meeting of its kind as Ukraine's allies continue to assess potential security guarantees for the country should a ceasefire be brokered. William Denslow reports from Kyiv.
According to President Zelensky, military teams will discuss issues such as the possibility of a peacekeeping force being deployed to Ukraine. The Coalition of the Willing, which has been spearheaded by the UK and France, has convened several times in recent weeks, but Zelensky says this will be the first in-depth meeting on Ukrainian soil. Foreign Minister Andrei Sybiha has met with Coalition of the Willing allies on the sidelines of a NATO meeting Thursday to discuss security guarantees for Ukraine and how to prevent further Russian aggression. William Denslow, Kyiv.
The European Union's top trade commissioner will hold a call with Trump administration officials on Friday to discuss the impact of the sweeping new import taxes announced by the US government. The EU was hit with a 20% tax, and the trade commissioner said unjustified tariffs inevitably backfire. Ross Cullen reports.
Maros Shevchevich, the EU's top trade negotiator, said on Thursday that we'll act in a calm, carefully phased, unified way, but we won't stand idly by should we be unable to reach a fair deal. He has twice visited Washington in recent weeks to try to secure a deal with the US that would have avoided the imposition of the sweeping tariffs. The EU is determined to resolve the crisis through talks between the Trump administration and officials here in Brussels, but it says it would introduce retaliatory countermeasures if the dialogue doesn't bear fruit. Ross Cullen, Brussels.
South Korea's Constitutional Court has unanimously voted to uphold the impeachment of President Yoon Suk-yeol. His short-lived declaration of martial law last December plunged the country into political turmoil. Laura Westbrook reports from Hong Kong.
Acting Chief Justice Moon Hyung-bae said Yoon Suk-yeol violated his duty as president with his declaration of martial law in December and acted beyond his constitutional powers. After the verdict was read out, cheers broke out among anti-Yoon protesters, but there were also tears and anger in the pro-Yoon camp. It caps months of political turmoil which exposed the divisions in Korean society. In a statement, Yoon said he was regretful and sorry for failing to meet expectations. A presidential election has to be held within the next 60 days and will have to contend with issues such as Donald Trump's escalated global tariff campaign.
Central European nations are stepping up measures to contain a foot and mouth disease outbreak, which largely affects livestock like cows, pigs, sheep and goats. Austria is closing several border crossings with neighbouring nations, while Serbia is implementing vehicle disinfection protocols. From bureaus worldwide, this is Feature Story News.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. 603-283-6160 is the phone number to Free Talk Live. That's 603-283-6160. Are you tired of the oppressive rules and moderation of the big tech social media sites? Yes. Our Mastodon server at social.freetalklive.com can set you free. Mastodon is free, open source, decentralized, and federated. Multiple apps are available for iOS, Android, Windows, Mac, and Linux. That's social.freetalklive.com. And with you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
Riley.
And Richie Rich.
And in the last segment, we were talking to Jet, and he wanted to talk about how we greatly outnumber the controllers, the psychopaths and tyrants and goons and thieves and gang members and lunatics
the suit wearing
killers.
The suit wearing shysters.
Yes, that's a great one. The suit wearing shysters.
Just read from your list, Bonnie.
What was the one about the gavel?
Oh, the gavel gobbling goons.
No, it's the greedy gavel goblins.
Okay. All right.
The greedy gavel goblins.
The revenue reaping rascals. Rascals isn't good enough. You need something that's like evil freaks more than you rascals.
Rapscallions.
The form filing freeloaders. The paper pushing plunderers. Plunderers is a great one. So
yes.
Jet wanted to remind us that we outnumber the penny pinching pirates by a great deal, and it is true.
So the problem is, much like what I told Skeeter, is if you try to take what's mine, the penalty could be up to death. Mm-hmm. Right? Like I may defend myself to the point of like you not having your life.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're one of the strongest biological imperatives is the biological imperative for survival.
Mm-hmm.
right? And the government has the guns, or the people, all the names, the goofy names you listed off, like those people have the guns and have demonstrated not only a willingness, but a wanting to use it against you.
Yeah.
Right? So if you resist them, the potential is that you're going to die in your resistance.
And with the pigs, it genuinely is like they have demonstrated a wanting. It's like they can't wait for you to escalate it.
Right.
It's going to make their day.
It's going to make their day. But and so the alternative, like the biological imperative for survival, dictates that you comply in order to survive, and they count on that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They know that if you're complacent and compliant and want to go home safely, that you're just going to do what they say because they have the guns and they're willing to use it. Well, then they don't have to have the numbers because they have the violence. Right.
The other thing, it's like kind of what we were bringing up in the break, so the listeners didn't hear, is dividing us. And I think a lot of stories that come out that cause race wars are part of just the dividing us, because like everyone has heard the term divide and conquer.
Yep.
And it's like if everybody who is not one of the government goons realizes that they can band together with everybody who is quote unquote subjected to them, then they are in big trouble. The government goons are in big trouble, and that's why they have to constantly be separating us, like making us be more loyal to a freaking football team than to each other, and making us think that our differences are so great that we couldn't possibly just be humans with each other and stuff like that.
Another example that they use, and I don't know how true it is if you actually do it. If you put like black ants in a jar with red ants and you shake the jar, right, the black ants will start fighting with the red ants. But neither one of them is smart enough to go like, well, we should both gang up on the hand that shook the jar, right? That's the aggressor, not us getting, caught up in the middle of it down here. You must unite and go after the true aggressor.
So why is it that humans are similar to ants in that they're not going to go after the true aggressor? They'd rather go after each other.
Are you asking me like for my opinion?
Yes.
I would suggest that, again, it's the legitimacy that's granted the members of authority, right? We talked about like, if you get rid of the government, gangs will just take over. Well, yeah, but if you shoot a gang member, no one's going to say like you were in the wrong,
right?
If they tried to steal from you and you shot him, you're like, that's just, he shouldn't have tried to steal from you. But if a cop tries to steal from you, through ticketing and taxation or whatever, and you shoot them, they go like, I shouldn't be shooting the cops.
You can't shoot that cop.
Shoot them. Like, that's the protected class, right?
Yeah,
so
it's absurd.
They're worse than gangs in that way.
They're worse than gangs in that way. But so they're the protected class. You can't go after them, but you can go after each other, because going after each other, you're on equal footing. And if it's a black versus white thing, well, they lean on the history of slavery to divide and conquer. Like you've got, you're exercising your white privilege and you get away with it because, and I don't like that. And since I can't go after my true oppressor, I'm just going to go after you.
In a big thing, I think it's just the unseenness of it all. It's like when I think about like who attacked my house on March 16th when my house was not graded, I don't have a target. I don't have like very specific people. It's all like, there are the specific people that did the actual deed, and I'm not allowed to know who tons of them are.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, it's like who called the shots. We aren't allowed to know.
Right, and that's where like I personally differ from Ian when it comes to holding people personally responsible, right? Because they're going to hide within their ranks. You're never going to know, right? And so the closest thing you can do is hit the ones wearing the same gang uniform.
The ones that are there doing the deed.
Well, you can't get to those, right? So like the example that I usually give is, everyone's worried about like the cops coming to take your guns. Well, when they take your guns individually, there's going to be like 5 of them. You're not going to know who they are. They're going to outnumber you. They're going to take your guns and they're going to take it back to the police station and keep it there for destruction or whatever, right? Now you have a natural, ethical, and moral right to go get those guns back. And when you gather your friends up to go get those guns back and go to the police station, you're going to be met with resistance. And the resistance is not going to come from the 5 people that showed up at your door.
Yeah, might be some lady who sits there and does the office
stuff. Might be
stuff.
some lady that sits there. But if she puts up resistance, she's wearing the same uniform.
She's
in
on
my
their
view,
team.
she's fair game.
I have seen many Press and H Now episodes on YouTube where they go and they have to talk to the clerk right there, and that clerk is absolutely on their team. Immediately starts fighting with them, and all he's trying to do is put in a report about something one of her cops did, but it's her cops, and she's gonna try to get rid of them.
So if you're wearing the same uniform, you're fair game. That's my opinion. I know Ian doesn't share it because it doesn't align entirely with personal responsibility.
Yeah.
But you're not going to go get it back from the same ones that took it from you.
Sure.
They're masked. They're gone. You're never going to be able to identify them. The best you can say is well, they're a member of the same team. They're wearing the same uniform. I'll go get
I
it
don't
from
even
there.
say member of the same religion, because they have to have a very specific belief system that gets them in this position, that where they truly believe that they have the ability to have the authority over you.
They're the protected class.
Mm-hmm.
What if I don't believe that certain people don't? What if I don't believe that certain people have authority over me? Then what?
They'll still act their authority out against you.
Yes,
their fake authority.
That to me is the absurdity of anything. Really, is if I don't believe you have any authority over me, and you're still acting like a gang member, then I have no recourse except to call you a gang member.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But if you act on that, then they're going to come down on you individually with more force, right? Because they have their gang and you don't have your gang. Yeah. You need to have your gang ready. Even if it's an armory, a hidden armory at your buddy's house. Or hey, dude, they finally came. They took my guns. Here's the community guns. Let's go get them back.
So we're the people, and they're the tax form termites, the fee foisting fatheads, the ledger licking locusts, the
Yes.
permit peddling pranksters.
and for what I'm saying, there's a little bit. It's a little bit of a stretch, but I'll say it anyway. There's a little bit of precedent set within their system for self-defense against a mob, right? If you're getting attacked by the mob is considered one, and if you shoot the mob and hit someone quote unquote innocent, but acting if someone hit you with a skateboard, right, and just jumped out of the mob crowd and hit you with a skateboard, and you fired back into the mob that was chasing you, the mob is guilty because they're the ones chasing you, and that's self-defense law in their system.
Yeah, and you did align yourself with the mob.
Right. So if you're acting as a group, right, to harass an individual, that individual has a moral, ethical, and natural right to effect their retaliation or their retribution or their justice against the group, any member of that same group.
You just don't get a good mob anymore. There's a mob in every episode of South Park, basically.
Okay.
But you just don't see a good mob anymore in real life.
Yeah, you're probably right. Flash mobs were a thing for a little bit, and organized
Dancing
one of those.
mobs? Is that what those are?
It could have been, but some of the Utes, right? They go we're going to flash mob the convenience store, and then they just rob it.
Whoa.
Right. And again,
I guess that'd be a form of, yeah.
But they rob it as a group, right? And maybe one of those guys doesn't take anything on his way out, but if you bunk him, right, as he's trying to run out the store with everyone else who's stolen something, guilty because he was acting as a mob.
Imagine that happened to your store and they're all wearing the same uniform.
Yeah.
What are you supposed to think?
Right. That would just be cops coming in.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So, Rich, do you believe there is any legitimate authority whatsoever?
Voluntary.
Okay.
If the authority, there's certain people that I would view as an authority on certain things, right? I take my car to a mechanic.
Sure.
Right. If I owned a house, I would need someone to do the electrical work. That dude has authority because he's skilled in that particular task, and I would defer to him.
Yeah.
Right. When I go to the doctor and the doctor goes you got polyps and you got to get the polyps removed. Right. I can go get a second opinion, but I'm going to a doctor. Right. I'm not going to I'm not doing this myself. I'm not.
You're not going to Bonnie's house.
I'm not going to Bonnie's house.
I'll get the polyps for you out of your gut or whatever.
Right. Whatever it is. Right. But that dude's the authority, and I defer to the authority for things that I don't understand.
But I declared myself the authority on polyps removing.
And if someone wanted to, and if someone said Bonnie declared herself an authority, I'll let Bonnie check me out. They're free to do that. And whatever consequences come with it.
You hear that they died on my operating table, aka my dining room table, then you would be like, you
Maybe
take that into account.
I want to go to Bonnie.
Right. But yeah, so you could declare yourself an authority, but I defer to authority all the time, particularly because I don't have time to research everything myself, nor do I have time to learn everything myself. Like I said with the food, I'm very good at certain things. I'm not good at a lot of other things, so I do what I'm good at and I pay for the rest.
Sorry, I almost sneezed.
Bless you.
I feel like that's never
Chuck
happened
Norris.
We were
Did that answer your
talking
question,
about-
Riley?
Yes, it answered
All
my
right.
question.
We were talking about cops, but not in general. We were talking about this cop who was actually the police chief in North Bergen, New Jersey. And he's getting sued by 5 of his officers for claims of retaliation, discrimination, sexual misconduct, and harassment. So a part of me wonders, like, what if this is made up by them so that way they can win?
I think the cops are a little bit of Karens, based on maybe not the needle to the private parts, but like everything else seems good-natured dude stuff.
Yeah, my dad did get reported when he was a military guy by one of the people under him, and it was clear that that guy just wanted to make something up and he didn't like my dad as a boss. And one of the things that he said was so bad that my dad did was he would play Fox News in the office, and the guy claimed that my dad would be talking about how we need to take over Obama.
Okay.
Which wasn't true, but my dad was probably like, man, this guy's a clown. Look at what this guy's doing. And the guy just got it in his head that he could report, and he is trying to take down the commander-in-chief. So I could totally see that these cops could
Take
possibly...
down the commander-in-chief. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, my dad just...
It just take down Trump.
It seems like a higher level of practical joke. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
He defecated near the desk. All right. I mean, did he make you clean it up? Did he like rub your nose in it like a dog? Right? Or was it just funny because now there's that there?
It's not funny to me. That
Okay.
would not be funny to me, but then again, these people
Like
are
I was
supposed
in
to be the
elementary
people that
school,
are
we had
so-
like cooking class, and someone like put hot peppers on my pizza.
Oh my god, I thought you were going to say someone pooped on your pizza. or
No,
something.
they put hot pepper, and they're like, "Oh, how's the pizza, Rich?" I'm like, "Well, a little spicy." Right? But it's a joke. You know?
Yeah, but okay, this is the thing.
X-Lax in the coffee.
I'm me, but these people, they signed up for a job where it's supposed to be supposedly so tough that you have to be so tough and
Yeah, and this lightens the mood.
great at doing it that, you need to be able to go through things. And you need qualified immunity because this job is just so hard. And yet they can't deal with like a joke. It's different than me, somebody who didn't sign up for a job like that. If somebody pooped next to my office, all hell is
It would still be
breaking
funny.
loose. No, it wouldn't. All hell would be breaking loose. I'd be claiming that the particles went into my nose and assaulted me.
They even made it a joke on the show, The Office.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm finally catching up on that. So
I've seen a lot
if
of
Coconut poops in this studio, are you going to come after him?
Coconut pooped in my car while I was driving the other day. It was so awful.
Coconut has pooped in the studio because one time it was like right next to my chair, and I
Yeah,
went,
he
"Hey,
did.
Bonnie, you got to come get this." And
Yeah,
she
he
did.
has. Yes.
Like, who cares?
Coconut's not a human. It's just not the same. When he poops somewhere, it's because I neglected to take him out long enough where it's raining outside and he thinks he's too good to poop in the rain.
I'm not even mad at him.
Yeah. Why
Right?
would you be mad at him? I always cleaned it up.
Good.
When he pooped in my car the other day, that was a first, though. He's never pooped or peed in the car. It was just that, like, it was raining, so he didn't want to poop before we left the house. And usually he can go, like, long periods of time without pooping, so I didn't think much of it. But he was really stressed out because we're driving fast, and he kept trying to get in my lap, and I had to yell at him, like, "No, Coconut, get in the back, like, you're going to cause an accident." And then all of a sudden I smelled it, and I'm like, oh, God. But luckily it was easy to clean up. Maybe I shouldn't describe the rest on the air. I had to pull over and litter because I didn't have anything but napkins, so I did have to litter.
Well, napkins are biodegradable.
I know. I was like, the poop and the napkins, I think, will, degrade. I feel bad, but I just had to throw them out the window and throw away the Aldi bag he pooped on.
I still think it's weird that humans pick up animal poop and put it in a bag to carry around.
Yeah.
The natural order of things, just like poop in nature.
I
We're
always
the ones
wonder-
with toilets in the house with plumbing.
I wonder what he thinks about it. Like, what does he think? Why does he think we have to stop every time he poops for me to sit
I
there,
don't
open
think
up
he
a
cares.
bag, and
He just thinks like he's in control because you're the one picking it up.
yeah, he doesn't seem to like care. Like, he doesn't
Yeah.
watch me do it or anything. He just waits to move on. There's this movie where dogs have a conspiracy theory amongst themselves. They're like, what the humans do with those poops, right? And they're like, yeah, and they're like, or no,
Is that
what?
The Secret Life of Pets?
I think so. And,
Okay.
and the dog who's the conspiracy theorist is like, well, have you ever thought about why we're not allowed to eat chocolate? Horrible.
It's horrible.
I think in A Secret Life of Pets, it's like a kid's show. So somehow we got to this. But
Moving on.
We got to dog poop because we're talking about pig poop. So, that
Nice.
just makes it so much nastier.
Pig poop.
So the list of complaints ranges from a pattern of ongoing pranks, like putting ink on door handles.
That's funny.
Oh
This
no,
is
Richard's
Police
gonna start to
Academy
like
stuff.
him.
They made like 8 movies about this.
Setting off car alarms, leaving crumbs on cop's desk. That's not that great. To much more serious allegations of using racial slurs, spiking the coffee pot with Viagra and Adderall.
Okay.
And sending sex toys to an officer's home.
That's funny.
That's funny. I've never seen anything like this in my life, said Patrick Toscano, the attorney who filed the claims on behalf of the police officers. The officers say Farley's toxic and abusive behavior has been going on
It's definitely juvenile.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's juvenile for sure.
Toxic is just such a thing people love to say now. So it says
Like you couldn't get away with this with a woman in the office.
That's what I'm telling you, but I wouldn't sign up to be a cop.
Yeah.
Now, whenever I see a female cop, I'm like, you're a gender traitor, and it's disgusting. I genuinely hate you.
Which could be like that one female cop that like hooked up with half the force.
Disgusting. You're a humanity traitor at that point, because it's just like,
get back in the kitchen where you belong.
even just nurses and normal people who decide to be attracted to cops, I'm like, you're a humanity traitor. Everybody needs to cease to be attracted to cops, and we would stop having a problem. Period.
Yeah.
So
And they would 40% of them would also stop having a problem.
is it 40? I thought it was like 60.
Okay.
Let's go with 60.
All right.
Get abused by their cop husband or wife. The officers say Farley's toxic and abusive behavior has been ongoing since soon after he became chief. He has been with the department for 26 years, and both his father and grandfather served as deputy chief. So yeah, this guy thought he was untouchable.
And he probably like heard stories of them like talking about all the pranks that they did.
That's a good point. When people were less sensitive.
Yeah.
Okay, but getting Adderall spiked at you, or what am I trying to say? Getting your coffee spiked with Adderall is something that would be very unwelcome to me.
Okay.
Like that sounds like the worst one of all out of all of those, in my opinion.
I thought the hypodermic needle was probably the worst. But
Oh, yeah.
Those two are up there.
Yeah, I forgot
But
about that one.
He put crumbs on my desk.
I'm suing.
I'm suing.
Yeah, crumbs on desks, not too bad. Coffee spiked with Adderall or Viagra or whatever.
Sex toys sent to your house.
A little worse.
I think I could live if somebody spiked my coffee with Viagra. But Adderall,
Yeah.
it's a little scary.
A combination of the two.
Oh no, I honestly don't know what happens to a woman if they take Viagra. Maybe something bad does happen. I had a dream last night, I don't know why I'm saying it on the air, that I went to the doctors because I keep having to go to the doctors, and they were forcing me to drink testosterone. I was like, won't this really hurt me because I'm a girl? And it was really scary.
That's kind of scary.
And they were like forcing me. Like anytime I said no, they were like getting all like mad. They're like, oh, you're wasting all of our time. Really scary.
You'll get stronger. Just might have to shave a beard.
I don't even know if you can drink it, but in my dream it was a drink. So the officers say, oh yeah, we already said that. Some of the officers say they've reported Farley to the Attorney General's office that a state investigation is underway. A spokesperson for the office did not immediately respond to requests for comment, and Farley, who earns more than $228,000 a year, according to pension records, posted a statement to the department website after he became chief, saying that he's committed to making sure officers have the support they need to succeed, stay safe, and improve quality of life in the community.
Lighten up, wussies. I quit with my pension before you can fire me and take it away.
Good point. I wonder if it works like that. It
Usually does. That's why they usually resign before there's an investigation and a trial. They resign, whatever happens. They keep their pension and they go get another job. At
That
another
actually makes a lot of sense
Well-
why you hear people resign so soon.
At the same time, I hear a lot. I mean, I hear about like for example, divorce cases. It's like if you are worth a certain amount, but then you start selling stuff just so that way you can say, hey, like I don't have this business anymore. I'm not worth it anymore. They'll still be like, well, you did that to evade your worth before our ruling, and there's stuff like that. So I wonder if that would apply to the cop, but maybe not.
I mean, it hasn't in the past. Like the cops that resign before they get convicted usually keep their pensions, and that's why they resign before they get convicted.
It says jabbed with a needle and fired for speaking out. Michael F. Darren, 59, worked as a special captain with administrative duties. So I guess he was like special needs or something.
Okay.
No, I'm joking. But he
All
was
of
a
them.
special captain with administrative duties assigned to Farley's office in 2023, according to court documents. Darren and Farley had been friends and traveled with other high-ranking officers in December 2023 to St. Bartholomew in the Caribbean. I think that's how you say it. In August 2024, however, Farley's attitude toward Darren changed, according to the officer's notice of intent to sue. Chief Farley chases me around his office, Darren wrote in his notice, after cornering me in the filing area with no further room for retreat. He sticks a hypodermic needle through my jeans into the tip of my... Can I say that on the air?
Yes, medically.
Okay, medical penis.
Yes. And you've already covered that in like the first part of it.
But that was the lead I didn't say it like that.
Yeah.
Into the tip of my medical penis. I don't know if that makes it better.
No.
Darren wrote the needle drew blood, and that he was further humiliated when he had to explain the injury to his wife. What kind of freak is this? Like it goes from when you reminded me of that, I was like, oh yeah, it's not anything, just silly hijinks. This is freaking weird. This is so weird.
That was the extreme one, and the spiking the coffee with Adderall.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those might have crossed a line, but again, depends on the culture, man. Like if you're around that stuff, like I got a quick minute. So I worked in a restaurant, mm-hmm. and we moved locations, and the second location was like the area, the work area was narrower than the old place.
Mm-hmm.
And the owner, the boss, like sat us down when we moved, and he said, "This is going to be narrow. You guys are going to like touch as you slide back and front with each other.
You have to
like,
decide to touch fronts or touch butts."
Right. But either way, but it's like it's going to be unavoidable during a busy night.
Mm-hmm.
Like if this is going to be a problem, just quit now. Right, because I'm not going to have this conversation later about touching.
He touched his butt with my butt.
It's just going to happen, and you deal with it. So
that's pretty funny.
That's pretty funny, yeah.
603-283-6160, but it's also a good point. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live coming up. You can call in with whatever's on your mind. 603-283-6160.
When you're coping with bad news and the news media come calling, and they will, don't clam up. As notorious political figures find out the hard way, the cover-up can be worse than the crime. So get out in front of unfavorable news about your company, your group, or organization, or yourself. The sooner you confront a negative story, the sooner it will be over. Responding as quickly to negative stories as you do to positive ones enhances your credibility. Hiding embarrassing information or lying will do more damage than damage control. Never stonewall. Tell your side of the story, use specifics, and detail what corrective action has already been taken. Respond in kind. If the issue is emotional, don't sound like a cold, unemotional Mr. Spock. For more tips on critical communication skills for the way things are now, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Protection. Eleutheromania. The insatiable desire for freedom.
Filibuster. Police state.
It's the new 3-song heavy metal EP from Captain Kickass. Available now on your favorite music app or get it directly from CaptainKickass.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Caroline Malone with the Week in Review. The Trump administration is defending its announcement of sweeping global tariffs as US trading partners retaliate. Markets have plunged since President Donald Trump announced the duties at a base rate of 10%, but much higher for many of 100-plus countries. World leaders have condemned the import taxes that would amount to the highest trade barriers given in more than a century. Kate Fisher reports from Washington.
Most economists predict the effects won't be limited to the financial markets, but will also raise prices for consumers and businesses. But administration officials like Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick defended the tariffs, saying they would create manufacturing jobs at home and open up export markets abroad.
You're going to see American production start to rise and finally be fair.
The tariffs comprise a 10% baseline tax on all imports, as well as higher duties on some of the US's biggest trading partners. Kate Fisher, Washington.
On Friday, China said it would slap 34% tariffs on all imports of US goods in retaliation for those duties unveiled by US President Donald Trump. Laura Westbrook has more from Hong Kong.
Beijing is showing it has no intention of backing down when it comes to a trade war with the United States, as well as matching President Trump's 34% additional tariffs on goods from the US. China also imposed export controls on 7 rare earth elements used in medical technology and consumer electronics. The Ministry of Commerce said it was adding 11 American companies to its list of unreliable entities that essentially bars them from doing business in China.
More than a week after the 7.7 magnitude earthquake in Myanmar, well over 3,000 people are now known to have died. The United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres says the disaster has laid bare the deep vulnerabilities facing people throughout the country. He's accused the military or junta of limiting critically needed humanitarian aid for those earthquake victims. The UN says in the days following the quake last week, the military continued operations and attacks, including airstrikes. Jody Jacobs reports from New York.
The appeal from the United Nations is for the attacks and airstrikes from the military to stop. According to official data shared with journalists on Friday, the UN Human Rights Office reported at least 61 attacks across Myanmar since the disaster happened, including 16 since a ceasefire was announced by the military, which was supposed to take effect from April the 2nd. The UN has urged a halt to all military operations and for the focus to be on assisting those impacted by the earthquake. An appeal has now been made by the world body's refugee agency for $16 million to support 1.2 million survivors. The Secretary General on Thursday deployed his humanitarian chief, Tom Fletcher, to the country. Jody Jacobs, New York.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN. The White House is reportedly drawing up an assessment of how much it would cost to take control of Greenland. US President Donald Trump has set his sights on acquiring the island as a way, he says, to shore up US security. Well, the people of Greenland are overwhelmingly against the idea. Many also want independence from Denmark, which oversees the autonomous territory. Nick Harper reports from Washington.
The Danish-owned but autonomously run island is a target of President Donald Trump, who says it's vital for US security. According to the Washington Post, a cost estimate is being drawn up that would include providing government services to its population of just 58,000 residents, and looking for ways to generate revenue from the island's natural resources. The US president maintains the US will 100% get Greenland, although Denmark says it's not for sale. I'm Nick Harper in Washington.
Far-right French political opposition figure Marine Le Pen is appealing a conviction against her for embezzlement, with a trial date now set for early 2026. If the French opposition leader is cleared, she would be free to contest the next presidential election in 2027. But if not, it creates a different political scene for future elections. Ross Cullen reports.
The appeal trial is due to take place early next year, with a decision due next summer. The judges could exonerate Marine Le Pen, clearing the path for her to participate in the presidential election, which recent polls showed that she would likely win at the fourth attempt. But there is also a risk that judges could lessen the sentence but still find her guilty, or impose the same sentence, confirming that she would be barred from contesting the election due to take place in April 2027. Ross Cullen, Paris.
I'm Caroline Malone in Washington, and that was the Week in Review.
An alarming new study finds that people suffering from stress-related disorders react poorly to being trapped in underwater elevators. A tired 398-month-old throws a tantrum, and a little clay thing is purchased at an arts festival. And now an eerily perfect recap of this week's news. The Catholic Church reversed its long-held stance against gay marriage this week after meeting Connecticut couple Tony and Craig. The vacationing pair dazzled the Pope and assorted clergy with their witty conversation and true loving affection for each other, leading Vatican officials to conclude that love is love and it's silly to put restrictions on it in this day and age. The Chinese people announced that they would be willing to forgive most of the United States' $1.16 trillion debt if Americans agreed to dress up in costumes and perform silly dances for them. Chinese officials encouraged U.S. citizens to wear sequined vests and prance around while slapping their big fat American tummies, promising that the more humiliating the performance, the more debt will be erased. In sports, NASCAR fans are deeply puzzled by a mysterious black family seen attending multiple races.
This is the Onion News Network.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160 is the phone number. That's 603-283-6160. And some of you have wanted to support Free Talk Live's mission on a monthly basis, but don't want to support Patreon. Now we have an alternative that also helps our premier streaming platform, Odyssey. Visit video.freetalklive.com and click join at the top of the channel. You can subscribe for $5 per month, and unlike other subscription services, Odyssey adds their processing fee on top, so it'll cost a little over $5 per month, but Free Talk Live will receive the entire amount you've pledged. I can tell Ian wrote this because I feel like that's something like Ian would care about, that maybe the average person would be like, okay, whatever. I don't know. Sorry, you guys are muted.
We can't even comment because we're muted.
She's censoring us, Richie.
Oh no, you're censored.
Yeah, I mean, it's if you donate to charity, you want to know that, it's not going to overhead, right? That's one of the biggest libertarian complaint about charity is, bloated charities like the Red Cross. You donate
or churches.
Well, like a small fraction of it goes to the cause because they have to pay all the layers of bureaucracy.
Yeah.
So if you're giving, if you're trying to give $5 to Free Talk Live and only 75 cents is going to Odyssey, well, then that's not bad, right?
But it says Free Talk Live they'll add their processing fee on top, so you can pay a little over $5 per month and have Free Talk Live receive the entire amount that you actually pledged.
Well, there you go.
Higher donation tiers are available if you're feeling so inspired. You'll get a special membership badge that's visible in the Odyssey chat, and we've enabled members-only chat, so that's another perk. Thank you so much to everybody who supports us, Odyssey and Patreon. And again, for the Patreon link, that's video.freetalklive.com, and click join at the top of the channel. With you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie,
Riley,
and Richie Rich.
And did you guys want to read any more about that cop and
No, we hit all
doing?
the hideouts.
I think we hit all the highlights too. So.
I'm glad that we got to the hypodermic needle part, because that's just, what kind of a psychopath freak is this, and why did he do that to somebody who used to be his friend? That's so weird.
But it's good that it happened to a cop.
It's good that he was a cop.
Yeah.
But
that's payback for all the tickets you wrote.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've always wanted to do to any cop that gave me a ticket.
Peg him in the tip with a hypodermic needle?
Yeah. Right in the tip.
That'd be hilarious.
This guy's living my dream. Well,
so you got to work from the inside, Bonnie, because you can't do it unless you're a cop, too.
Yeah, I'll just apply, and then I'll be able to do that with impunity like that guy.
Yeah,
and then I'll just quit with my pension and come back to Free Talk Live.
There you go. Good plan.
So, in other news, this is from CBSNews.com.
A reputable news source.
Thank you, Ray.
Indeed. It says, new road design has neighbors in Pennsylvania suburb calling for change. It's ridiculous. And it's
oh my goodness,
so funny. It's so hilarious, and I really hope Sarah is listening. I'm not sure if she is, because Sarah didn't call yesterday, but if Sarah's listening, I think she's going to love this. And what I said in the host chat when I saw Lori post it was that we cannot let Sarah find out about this. But honestly, I want to know what she thinks about it.
The problem is doing this on radio doesn't do it justice because you kind of have to see the picture.
Yeah.
Dang it.
But sorry, Riley. We'll describe it to you best we can for radio.
Okay, perfect.
They painted wavy lines on the road. So instead of just going straight down the road, if you follow the lines, you have to swerve left and right to follow the lines as you're driving down the road.
So I'm guessing that a lot of roads have straight lines painted on them.
Most roads have straight lines. If the road goes straight, right, the lines are straight.
Mm-hmm.
If the road curves, the line's curved.
Okay.
But this is like curved lines going back and forth, on a straight road.
It's not quite a zigzag. It's more like you're saying curved than a zigzag,
right.
but it's like that. So,
can you draw it on my hand?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So basically, when you're driving,
I get what you're getting at.
You would be taking your wheel and going left and right, like just like the cartoons. However, time somebody's driving, you see them with the wheel like just going left and right, left and right.
Or if you're trying to avoid potholes in the city.
Yeah, and the idea is that you can't go as fast when you're doing that. Like even sometimes when you're throwing on your brakes suddenly because the car in front of you suddenly threw on their brake, the thing that you would almost like instinctively do is like move left and right really fast. In fact, I did it like the other day and I was like, whoa, I actually did that thing, not even thinking about it. Like to avoid hitting the back of the other car.
Be careful what lane you're in though, because you could swerve into oncoming traffic or the car next to you. Like it's not always the best thing to do to miss the car in front.
Well, in this case, I kind of ended up going a little into the shoulder, but I missed the car in front.
As long as it's a shoulder, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you were like in the left lane and you did that and there's a car coming in the right lane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just be careful.
Either way, it's going to slow you down instead of going straight to go left and right. The funny thing about it is these lanes look so wide, it looks like you can just drive straight and ignore the stupid zigzag.
I think if you read the article, that's what people are doing.
Oh, really?
They're ignoring the lines and just driving normal.
So they're trying to do this in order to force people to slow down.
Yes.
Honestly, I'd prefer this. I'd even prefer actually doing it and having no workaround and having to go left and right than to have a speed bump. Speed bumps hurt your car and they're so annoying.
Yeah.
It says, new road design has neighbors in Pennsylvania suburb calling for change. It's ridiculous. Drivers are zigzagging down one road in Montgomery Township, and it's not to avoid a pothole. That's funny.
See? There you go.
It's a new road design to get drivers to slow down on Gray's Lane, which has created quite the conversation among neighbors. I think it's an eyesore. I think it's ridiculous. I mean, it's not any uglier than the next road. Like, they're all ugly. Like,
roads.
It's not nature.
I'm guessing roads are generally ugly because they're all the same color.
All the same, like gray, white, and yellow.
Or black.
Yeah.
When I was a teenager, by my grandpa's house, they put they put a curb, and they kind of did it with the lines, but it was an actual curb that you from going straight. If you continue to go straight, you would hit the curb. So you have to like zigzag around this new median or curb or whatever you want to call it. And it was for the same thing, right? So they're doing it with lines that you can easily avoid. They did it back home with a curb that you couldn't go straight through. But then it added a new challenge, right? Like how fast can I take this curve, right? Like an F1 chicane, it's just adds a little bit of complexity to it.
Like what's it called? Like skeeting? Not skeeting. That's not the word.
Drifting?
Drifting, yeah.
Yeah. Drifting wasn't really a thing, but yeah, I could see that. You could try it.
Drifting around this weird curb. I can't really picture the curb you're describing.
Or roundabouts work the same way.
Oh my
right?
God.
If you put a circle in there for whatever reason, then you have to deviate a little bit, and that naturally slows people down.
Sarah was talking about they put a roundabout somewhere in Albuquerque where she lived, and people were just going straight through it.
Well, that's why you got to put a curb up.
Well,
right? If you just paint the lines, no one cares.
Well, the thing is, they purposely leave the middle kind of flat. And the reason, I didn't know this until just a couple weeks ago, is so that something like a large
truck,
like a 16-wheeler or whatever, 18-wheeler.
Okay.
They can't make it in the same way that a car can. They have to go a little over that curb.
Okay.
You have to just give them way more space, and they go over that curb. And the thing that's funny about it in hindsight is when it first happened, like a year or two ago, Sarah said that she called her city and asked them to put a giant metal or concrete statue in the middle so people couldn't drive straight through it. And they're probably like, lady, that's
For the trucks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, not the truck. She was saying normal cars were driving straight through it.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you don't put
And
a
they
curb
shouldn't
up, if you don't raise it a little bit, yeah, normal cars are just going to go through it because it's as goofy as these lines.
Yeah.
There has to be an obstruction.
So I still would never do that. I would never try that. Even if there was no curb, nothing in the middle of a roundabout, I wouldn't try to drive straight through it.
Why not? You
Because-
run red lights.
Oh, I do run red lights.
Okay.
The thing about roundabouts is that they're way more unpredictable. Like maybe if I came up to a roundabout that was completely empty, I would think differently, but I've never really...
If the Keene
almost
roundabout wasn't a curbed roundabout and there were no cars coming, you wouldn't drive just straight over it?
Almost never has it ever been that I get there and there's no other car.
Okay.
That's the thing.
I mean, that's different, right?
Mhm.
That's a good reason to, but
Yeah.
I mean, but hypothetically, if it was a flat roundabout and just painted lines,
And I knew for sure that no car was going to
yeah.
fly
Well, for
out
the
of
same
one of,
reason
like,
you run the
all
red lights, is
buildings
because
around there.
you've
Yeah,
adjudicated that's going to be safe for yourself.
Exactly. I only ever run red lights when I look both ways and see that I can go. But
So
the
you
thing about
approach a
the-
roundabout with just lines and no curb.
Yeah, if we're talking about a place where I know for sure that there's no one around, like I'm in the desert and there's a roundabout and I can clearly see no one else there, then yeah, I would do it.
Okay.
I guess that I'm putting myself in the position of the roundabouts all around me that I would almost not do that to any single one of them.
Okay.
Never been in one that was empty, like ever.
I mean, there's a good chance when I leave the studio tonight, when I approach that roundabout, it's going to be empty.
Well, the thing about the big roundabout, like Keene
Keene Square?
Central Square, is
Yeah,
that
that's
there's all
different.
there's all these buildings
Yeah.
blocking your line
Right.
of sight.
I'm talking about the one further down Main Street.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, if I was for sure that there was no one else around, sure, yeah, I would go through it if
Yeah.
it was possible.
But you
that was
can't
not
because there's a
possible.
curb there.
Oh, Sarah is calling.
Hey, yay!
Yay, Sarah call.
Sarah, I'm not
Magic.
sure if you caught the beginning of this segment, but we're talking about a new way to slow down cars. Do you want to hear about it?
Yeah, sure.
So in Pennsylvania, I think it was, in
Yeah, it's Pennsylvania.
they're drawing the middle line in the middle of roads, the yellow line. They're drawing it like a zigzag, so that way it's not completely straight, even though the road is straight. So that way the cars, they have to drive by going left and right, like they have to drive in this hilly, wavy motion, and it slows them down. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's kind of I think it might
Be
help.
honest.
I mean, did they I was told that we tried that in Albuquerque and they threw that out.
Wow.
Yeah, it didn't fly
Albuquerque
too
did
well.
something smart.
Yeah, they like to speed here and hit and run people, leave them dead. Two different cars run over the same pedestrian here at night. No, yeah, they were trying to do that at a wealthier part of the street, and they were going to have it. But who came up with this? Were they doing this in Europe? Who was the
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. So, what's the logic behind it? It slows them down.
Yes, because when you have to zigzag, you go slower than you could if you were just going straight.
Well, I mean, if they want to try it, they can. And I don't know but anyways, and here in Albuquerque, Mexico, we just passed the Idaho stop for the bicyclist.
What's that mean? Idaho stop?
I guess they started this in Idaho, state of Idaho, and what they found was if the bicyclist goes to the four-way stop sign, they would kind of slow down, but do not stop completely.
Oh, yeah. I hate bicyclists.
Yeah.
Me too.
Because what don't they have like a shoes and they have clips and it clips their shoes, and if they completely stop, they have to get off all those. By the time they put up and start over, they'll get killed by a car.
No, that's nonsense.
Started up already.
They just like to be an obstruction and then blame cars.
So I don't know.
Bicyclists never stop. Stop signs, red lights,
Really? Why the heck don't they stop? I mean, like,
because it slows down their momentum.
at this point, why don't we say that we create a new kind of stop sign that you basically just slow down, look both ways, see if you're safe, and go, because
We
that's
have that.
totally safe.
It's called a yield.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. There's plenty of places that could be replaced with a yield, and they just
Yes.
don't do it.
Every stop sign could be replaced with a yield.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the bicyclists are technically allowed to do that.
No, they're not.
Well, No, our state, we just passed it. Idaho, that's how they stop in the state of Idaho.
Okay.
And
so maybe they're in New Mexico.
So they just legalized the bad behavior of a special group.
Yeah, pretty much. It sounds like.
Yeah.
I don't cry when bicyclists get hit because of that.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Like you deserved it.
Things. I mean, are they going to really do this and make people do it? Or are people protesting? Or what's going on?
Who would be protesting? The bicyclists are going to love this because now they don't have to stop when everyone else has to stop. And now they have more protection.
That Weaving Road in Pennsylvania or something.
They said here, they said, I've yet to hear one person happy about this.
Because it's goofy.
It's goofy.
It's goofy. And again, I think if you read into the article, like people aren't even they're just going straight anyway. If you stay on your side and I stay on my side and we just both go over the lines a little bit as we pass each other in the night.
It's kind of like, Sarah, how you said that they would just drive straight through the roundabouts that they created there.
Oh, yeah, that's how they do. They figure that if the big trucks could do it and the fire hydrants could do it, they're going to do it too. Just blow right through it, yeah.
Yeah, and again, that's what I was telling Bonnie, is if you don't put up an obstruction, if there's no curb there, then it's worthless. It's just lines on the ground. Yeah, and you can do the right thing and just check for yourself. Like you approach, you go like, is it safe? And then you proceed if it is.
Another thing about roundabouts is they just like get more money for the contractor who's buildings for the government, and a lot of them could just be red lights. I mean, I know that a lot of people are like the roundabouts more, and I personally like the roundabouts more, but they're taking part of our property in Keene to make a roundabout that could have just been a red light, and they wouldn't have to take anybody's property. It's not just my property, it's other people around us too.
I am sympathetic to the stealing of the property. Mm-hmm. But I think generally roundabouts could replace red lights just about everywhere.
Yeah, just about everywhere, but if they don't have to steal property.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they're better than red lights. But I also think that since they cost more money to make, that contractors are just like happy about them, like roundabout happy, and don't even mind if it causes
Is it more money up front? Because I would think like with a roundabout, there's no electricity. It's like a one-time thing. You don't have to operate the lights.
Yeah, but all it matters to the person building is how much money they get up front.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like the cost to the city to maintain it.
Well, they're not the city.
Okay.
So it's like the people...
Well, you know what people like about roundabout? There's no tickets. People hate tickets. People hate being told that they don't like being penalized for anything. And they don't want to be told that they're doing something wrong.
Yeah, and roundabouts are yields.
I think you could get a ticket in a roundabout.
You could if you fail to yield.
Mm-hmm.
But most people, like, again, there's a survival impetus, and failure to yield could result in an accident and or death.
And it's the same
thing. So you approach it safely.
With those lights. In fact, you know what? Instead of doing the roundabout and where they're stealing our property, they could do one of those lights that are red for the side roads and yellow flashing all the time for the main road, where the main road just keeps going. The other sides yield to the flashing red lights, and then they go when they can. There's a intersection I pass every time I go to visit Ian, maybe even two. In like Troy and the whatever is south of that from here in Keene.
And again, those lights are just stop signs.
Yep.
Right? Like that's all it is. You put, it's just a more visible stop sign.
And basically you're not forced to stop if you don't have to. If you're coming up to those yellow flashing lights or the red flashing lights and you can clearly see that you can go, you just keep going.
Usually red means stop. Yellow means proceed with caution. Red generally operates as a stop sign. So the people approaching it should stop.
They probably will get mad at me eventually.
But if you put up a yield sign and you go like, well, this one has the right of way, and you put up the yield sign and you're like, turn at your own risk.
They could be all four yellow flashing lights. Wait, no.
Because then
all four sides think they can continuously go. Yeah, those are still better.
In that case, you just take the light away and everyone proceeds with caution anyway because it's too risky to go in alone.
Yeah, I have never heard about the lights that you were describing, but what was telling me there's like two turns to a roundabout in Europe. To go to, I don't know how they do it, but it's not like a one loop roundabout. You have to go around twice, like a snail.
Whoa!
To get, I never seen a roundabout like that. I used to have like.
There's some roundabout in England or Britain or whatever that has like 11 different points of contact coming into it.
Wow!
So it's it's gnarly.
That
Whoa.
does sound gnarly.
That sounds like my worst nightmare. That I would just be so stressed out doing that.
No, you just circle it and like make your way over to wherever you need to be to get off.
Well, if they have a very understandable like key when you're going in, then I can be like, okay, I see the key and now I know what to do. But
I don't think there is.
sometimes you come up and there's like no key.
Yeah.
Or whatever you want to call it.
I'm pretty sure the one in England like just takes experience.
I hate that. I hate when there are places that you have to be from there to drive there, and all the cars around you are just like, she's not from here, she's from Montana, and I just know it.
Yep.
So thank you for the call, Sarah. Like we mentioned in this, when Sarah was asking, they said they have yet to hear one person happy about this.
Yeah, because it slows everyone down and makes it more dangerous.
I guess that these are just people talking in the Facebook comments. It says that King added, I don't see how this is going to slow down traffic at all. CBS News Philadelphia reached out to police and the township manager to get more information about the new traffic calming measure. That's such a stupid name.
It is.
But we are still waiting to hear back. In the meantime, some neighbors are hoping the township has a change of heart, which is just such a waste of money to paint it like this and spend a whole day working on it and then go change it back. It's just like, wow, I'd be pissed at the government if they did that around here.
At my normal day job, the speed limit in the parking lot is technically like 5 miles an hour. And there's a new daycare center that opened up a few months ago, and it was going to add to the amount of traffic that flows through our parking lot because we have to give them an easement to get to their building.
Oh my goodness.
And so my boss at the time, he's no longer my boss, decided like we need to do something about this to slow the cars down. I was like, you have to put an obstruction. Like if, he's like, oh, we just got to get some signs. So we spent like $400 or whatever on like 5 mile an hour signs and weighted posts to hang the signs on. And every morning he diligently like put the signs out and no one slows down, right? Or they did initially, and then you get used to it and then you don't pay attention to the signs. And then winter came. So now the signs are like either busted or broken or inside, and I'm not putting them out because it was his thing. But I told him, I'm like, if you want to slow people down, right, you have to put an obstruction where the walkway is so they don't cut across like the handicap lane, and you got to put like a speed bump there because they can't corner quickly and hit a speed bump because, as you noted, Bonnie,
they suck.
They suck, but it's effective in slowing people down, especially on a curve. But they didn't listen, so now nobody slows down. The signs are already broken, and it's
Children getting hit.
But nothing's happened. Nothing has happened. Like I walk outside, I look left, I look right, and sometimes there's cars coming where there weren't before. And I go, I can't cross to my car yet. I got to wait like 3 extra seconds for these cars to go by. But it's also like on me, right? I'm the meat popsicle that is going up against the 3,000-pound death machine.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to risk it. I'm going to wait until it's clear.
Somehow the people in Keene haven't figured that out, and they're just like, I'm going to risk it.
And they should get hit.
I can't believe they don't get hit more often. I seriously can't believe it. It happens so often. It happened to me twice in a row in just like less than a minute last week, and I was just like, what is going on? What is going on? Seriously.
They should get hit, and their body should be left there as an example to other pedestrians. Like, this is not how you do it.
Oh, people can't see it from down there. We're going to have to put the head up on a spike.
Yes, that. or leave the chalk outline. All right, this is where another one of you morons got hit. Like, maybe look both ways and not expect that little flashing light to stop people.
I'm not gonna lie, every time I see one of those crosses on the side of the road where somebody died in a car accident, I'm like, I'm driving extra careful now. It creeped me out.
As you should.
Seriously.
It's a dangerous area. There's evidence of it.
603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live. More coming up. That's 603-283-6160. Bring up whatever's on your mind. What do you think about this? Would you drive the zigzaggy lines or just go straight through them? More coming up.
Free Talk Live.
I wanted to ask your listeners about the religion and the people who practice Wicca. What do they think their agenda is? Is it to take over the world? Or?
Oh, no. No, I don't think so.
I mean, because they're somewhat of bullies.
They're bullies? What do you mean?
They bully with the religion themselves. A lot of people are afraid of them.
Can you give me an example?
The Tea Party.
The Tea Party has to do with Wicca?
Well, it's mostly because they're so secretive.
So
the Wiccans.
The Wiccans are secretive, and they have a lot of numbers, and they've infiltrated the Tea Party?
Well, they use them, like, for instance, the breakdown of Obamacare. That could very well have been the Wiccans using their power to break down the computers.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern at freetalklive.com.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Stuart Smith. Delegations from the so-called Coalition of the Willing are set to meet in Ukraine on Friday. President Volodymyr Zelensky says it'll be the first meeting of its kind as Ukraine's allies continue to assess potential security guarantees for the country should a ceasefire be brokered. William Denslow reports from Kyiv.
According to President Zelensky, military teams will discuss issues such as the possibility of a peacekeeping force being deployed to Ukraine. The Coalition of the Willing, which has been spearheaded by the UK and France, has convened several times in recent weeks, but Zelensky says this will be the first in-depth meeting on Ukrainian soil. Foreign Minister Andrei Sybiha has met with Coalition of the Willing allies on the sidelines of a NATO meeting Thursday to discuss security guarantees for Ukraine and how to prevent further Russian aggression. William Denslow, Kyiv.
The European Union's top trade commissioner will hold a call with Trump administration officials on Friday to discuss the impact of the sweeping new import taxes announced by the US government. The EU was hit with a 20% tax, and the trade commissioner said unjustified tariffs inevitably backfire. Ross Cullen reports.
Maros Shevchevich, the EU's top trade negotiator, said on Thursday that we'll act in a calm, carefully phased, unified way, but we won't stand idly by should we be unable to reach a fair deal. He has twice visited Washington in recent weeks to try to secure a deal with the US that would have avoided the imposition of the sweeping tariffs. The EU is determined to resolve the crisis through talks between the Trump administration and officials here in Brussels, but it says it would introduce retaliatory countermeasures if the dialogue doesn't bear fruit. Ross Cullen, Brussels.
South Korea's Constitutional Court has unanimously voted to uphold the impeachment of President Yoon Suk-yeol. His short-lived declaration of martial law last December plunged the country into political turmoil. Laura Westbrook reports from Hong Kong.
Acting Chief Justice Moon Hyung-bae said Yoon Suk-yeol violated his duty as president with his declaration of martial law in December and acted beyond his constitutional powers. After the verdict was read out, cheers broke out among anti-Yoon protesters, but there were also tears and anger in the pro-Yoon camp. It caps months of political turmoil which exposed the divisions in Korean society. In a statement, Yoon said he was regretful and sorry for failing to meet expectations. A presidential election has to be held within the next 60 days and will have to contend with issues such as Donald Trump's escalated global tariff campaign.
Central European nations are stepping up measures to contain a foot and mouth disease outbreak, which largely affects livestock like cows, pigs, sheep and goats. Austria is closing several border crossings with neighbouring nations, while Serbia is implementing vehicle disinfection protocols. From bureaus worldwide, this is Feature Story News.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. That means that you can call 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160 and bring up whatever is on your mind. 603-283-6160 to get in on the conversation with us. And with you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
Riley.
And Richie Rich.
And we already have a caller on the line. In the last few segments, we've talked about Trump's tariffs and the fact they're a protectionist trap, and they're not actually going to be good for the prosperity of Americans, much less the world. And we've talked about a cop that was pranking his other fellow cops way too hard.
Prank in air quotes.
Yeah, prank. I don't consider some of the stuff pranks.
It's definitely
like
pranks, but it's on the extreme level of hazing.
These are definitely extreme pranks for sure.
Yes.
If someone were to prank me that way, I'd feel like they were assaulting me, but that's just me.
That's the problem with libertarians.
If somebody
you can't
stabbed
really
me in
prank
the
it because
penis,
it's always an NAP violation.
if somebody stabbed me in the penis and I had a penis, I would not consider that a prank. What about you, David? Is that just a silly prank?
would be kind of like getting stabbed in the clitoris.
Oh my god, that's terrifying. I didn't think of it like that. I guess it would just be like that. That's just a prank, obviously. So.
I guess we know Bonnie's not pierced down there.
True. Women volunteer for that all the time, Bonnie.
I don't know if they Oh, you mean piercing?
Yeah.
That's so weird.
They're not doing it against their will, are they?
I thought you were going to talk about like the circumcision in Africa. I was like, they're not volunteering for that.
Well, I know one woman.
That's just
who did.
prank.
You know what? Actually, most of them probably do volunteer for it.
I don't know. Maybe. Honestly, maybe.
It's their culture.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Maybe some of them, they're so brainwashed they end up getting it done just because it's part of their religion or whatever.
I read an article a long time ago about a weird African tribe where the culture was, that you offer your wife to have sex with your guest.
Oh my gosh.
Oh wow, that's really bad.
It's like, how do I get invited to that tribe?
I don't know if I'd want that.
You wouldn't want that?
No.
Okay.
But I'll have another beer.
So.
It's because you have a girlfriend, Riley.
It's true, I do.
What do you have on your mind tonight, David?
Monkeys.
Monkey see, monkey do.
All of us. I think Coconut thinks we're all monkeys.
He probably does.
I have a suggested modification for your intro greeting there, Bonnie. Instead of you got me, Bonnie. You should like in tune. You got me, babe.
You got me,
song?
Bonnie. Is that what it is?
No.
They say we're young and we don't know.
You got to use the real lyrics.
Won't find out until we grow.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know all the words. Like, share.
I forget. I think Shaggy did the remix, and this was before the internet. So I was like, man, who does that song? And I was too scared to ask. So I sent my buddy into the store. I'm like, can you find out who sings this and what album it is? And he comes out, it's like, welcome to Whoop Whoop. Like, what is that? Like, that's what the dude said, man. You gotta buy the album. Welcome to Whoop Whoop.
Wait, is it Shaggy like the one that does on the bathroom floor?
Yeah.
Oh, that one? Okay.
Yeah, I think I might not. It might not be Shaggy, but it's definitely on the Welcome to Whoop Whoop soundtrack. And so I did. I bought the Welcome to Whoop Whoop soundtrack, had the song, and then years later found that the movie on a torrent and watched the movie. It's a weird movie too.
Oh yeah, apparently this is a movie, a 1997 adventure musical.
There you go.
But
Bonnie didn't believe me. But to verify. Trust but verify.
It says there's Cake, Poe, Real Big Fish, Boy George on the soundtrack. Oh yeah, Shaggy. I got you, babe.
There you go.
Yep. It says Shaggy and Meryl Bainbridge, whoever that is.
I don't know who that is.
I like them apples, David.
But she must be somebody who lived in where is that? Bain?
Whoop whoop.
Washington State. What am I? I'm thinking of. There is a town north. Let's see, Port Orchard up in that area. Bainbridge. What am I? Oh, that's the name of the town. Bainbridge, isn't it?
Bainbridge Island. It says. It's spelled the same.
Oh, yeah. See, I knew what I was talking about.
Yeah, I've never been there. That's another state I've never been to.
I lived there.
Oh.
I lived there. I taught Navy boys how to fly.
And you couldn't remember what it's called?
I wasn't actually at Bainbridge. I was at what is it, Bremerton? That's where, and Kitsap County, Port Orchard, Bremerton is where the Navy base was.
Do you remember all your addresses, Bonnie?
Actually, some of them will surprise me. I'll be like, whoa, I forgot about this address because it'll pop up on my Amazon or something. So no, I can't say I remember all of them.
Or a bank application, which one of these addresses are you not associated with? I have no idea.
I know
lived
for
in
sure.
so many places.
I absolutely know every town name that I've lived in. So
which one of these phone numbers has never been yours?
Even if it was one of those little things, like one of those places I only lived in a small amount of time, I remember it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Actually,
totally forgot I lived there.
I had a gig on the harbor, so I lived in Gig Harbor.
Oh my gosh.
That's
terrible.
That's a town.
Good one.
No, it's for real.
Yeah, I knew it's a town.
Gig Harbor. Yeah, it's really pretty.
Where's Gig Harbor? Is that Washington?
Yeah, it's on Puget Sound, by suburb of Seattle.
This isn't about monkeys.
Huh?
We're not talking about monkeys. How come?
Monkeys live in Seattle.
Oh, I don't know. I guess we're beyond monkeys now.
HIV tested
we're
monkeys?
the monkeys.
Are they running around the HIV tested monkeys in Seattle or something?
Did they catch all the monkeys that was loose in North Carolina?
I think you're thinking of the wrong kind of monkey.
I don't know. I can't remember.
Are you talking about the kind of monkey that you spank, David?
Yeah.
Well,
I knew Richie would know.
I don't know if all the listeners know what we're talking about the HIV monkeys, but there were these actual monkeys, like whatever kind of breed, I don't know, that they were given AIDS in order to be tested on, and they escaped from their lab, and that one was North Carolina. It's happened a ton. I know it happened in Louisiana when my sister-in-law was a high schooler because they got locked down because of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And some horny human got a little randy.
I don't know.
That's why we have to deal with it today.
That's the whole, that's the rumor, I guess you'd say, the myth.
Okay.
The legend as to why we have that
The urban
today.
legend.
I don't really believe it. I'm sure it just was made in a lab by Fauci and everyone.
Okay.
Richie just reminded me of a limerick.
Uh-oh.
Randy, I'll edit it to G. So, let's see, how was it? Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of brandy. You ever hear that one?
No.
Jack got nude and Jill got, we can leave that word out, and out came little Randy.
Ew.
Good one, David.
Well, there's nothing else to do. You got a lame third grade teacher, where you leave third grade boys together, stuff's going to happen. Don't
You
blame
created
me.
that?
Not me, us. The little clan of monkeys that are in a third grade classroom, bored out of their gourd.
That can't be what you actually wanted to say about monkeys. You don't have a monkey at your house with the rats, do you?
I can't say on FCC radio what I was thinking about monkeys there, Bonnie.
So you
just
weren't.
asked me what I was thinking.
So when I asked what was on your mind, you weren't answering what you wanted to talk about. You
Just
were
think about
answering.
Riley's monkey.
No, I'm just telling the truth, Bonnie. I'm just telling the truth. You asked me what was on my mind. I'm not going to lie to you. I said monkeys.
What's so bad about monkeys that you're thinking of that you can't?
It's the kind you spank, Bonnie.
If that's on your mind, maybe you should take some time and we'll talk to someone else.
Well, it wasn't. No. This is just a joke, Bonnie. It's a joke. So you know what a joke is.
I don't know what a prank is.
Don't? Are you serious?
I don't accept those things as pranks that we were talking about in the last segment. So I guess I don't know what a prank is.
Oh yeah, I don't accept those as pranks either. That's pretty lame what that dude was doing. Oh, so wait a minute. So there was let's see, spiked the pot with Viagra
and Adderall.
People also spike the Viagra with pot.
That'd be funny.
Nice.
It'd be hilarious if he was spiking the cops' drinks with things that cops...
From the evidence locker.
Actually, I didn't even think about that. Like, cops aren't supposed to be abusing Adderall. That's not fair. I'm sure I would have gotten in trouble if I got caught with that in high school. But instead the cops
but if you
are
had a
just doing it.
prescription for it.
Well, I didn't.
Okay.
But the cops are just, haha, we're doing Adderall. That's not fair.
Well, as long as they don't get caught. So what? I mean, that's the same rules that we live by, right?
They should not live by the same rules as us because they are enforcing.
What if they take their
up to death
Adderall
on us?
before their shooting competition
Oh my god.
and they're on target better because they're focused?
What if they take their Adderall before they go out into the world and start fighting with people?
Does Adderall make you fight?
Well,
That was
it
a
makes you
focus
feel
thing.
like, hey, anything you say, I don't care. I have way more important things to say.
Oh.
You're a dumbass.
Okay.
And I have lots more important things to say. Shut up, Richie Rich.
Okay.
That's what it makes. It makes you an a-hole.
It's like if they have more important things to do, then they wouldn't pull me over.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, if you got something more important to do, go do it. Just leave me alone.
That's what you should say.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait. So the song "Shock the Monkey." So which monkey is he talking about, Richie?
I'm not familiar with that song.
Riley?
I'm not familiar with that song either.
I'm not
we
either.
Won't bother. I wasn't even going to ask you. I wasn't even going to ask you, Bonnie. We know you don't know. You're 12. You're 12.
It's from
Okay,
1982. Song by Peter Gabriel. It says, "Cover me when I run. Cover me through the fire. Something knocked me out the trees. Now I'm on my knees. Cover me, darling trees. Hey, monkey, monkey, monkey. Don't you know you're going to shock the monkey? Hey, hey."
Okay. Yeah. No clue.
No clue.
So you guys don't
Up for
even know that
artistic
song?
interpretation.
You know? Do you know the song though?
She just read the lyrics.
No. I've never read it.
I mean, have you heard it? It's a really good song. You should listen to it sometime. It's
I
actually
just
very-
don't know what goes through the brains of other people when they say things are really good songs because I have my taste in music. You guys have y'all's, and that's fine. And I don't think you guys should be listening to the Lady Gaga I like. It'd be weird.
I couldn't name one Lady Gaga song.
It would be weird if you did. So whenever somebody says that's a really good song, it means nothing to me.
You know, I like that Lady Gaga song. Well, I think Lady Gaga and the dude, I don't really even know the entire history of it. You probably know, Bonnie. You can fill us in. The one that everybody's using in their memes, in a
dude, is it Bruno Mars?
I don't even know for sure. Was it part of the soundtrack from the whatever? Did it come out of a movie that she did with? Was it
Shallow. Yeah, the movie she made with Bradley Cooper. Yeah, they did like kind of a like country thing. That album, that soundtrack is just elite. It's so good. And Bradley Cooper is a pretty good singer.
So is there one in there that you remember something about California Dreamin', or not Beach Boys, but was there something about California?
I don't think one is about California. I'm pretty sure one's about Arizona or something like that. The most famous one is called Shallow.
Okay, I'll have to look it up. But there's just one that I keep hearing over and over again on. You see it, people use it all the time for whatever music was the original music, like in a dance song, video with people dancing. They'll change the music to that song, and that song almost universally works with no matter what dancing they're doing. That song works with it for some reason.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, the first place I heard it was, and you were talking about this. I meant to actually mention it back then. You're talking about breakdancing, b-boys and b-girls. Oh, I know. When you're talking about the Olympics and that breakdancing competition that they're probably.
Oh, with Ray Gun.
Huh?
That I've seen. Ray Gun, the Australian breakdancing chick.
Yeah. Okay. So everybody was saying that what she did was lame, and so I was going to give a good example of, and it's a Japanese chick. What's her name? Anyway, Japanese chick, and there's videos online where they replaced the music that she was dancing to with her other b-boys and b-girls to this Lady Gaga song, and it worked really well, and it was cool. And I wish I could remember the girl's name right now, so I could tell it to you on national radio.
For dry eyes. Get clear eyes. Wow.
What? You're reading advertisements off the internet now?
No, I'm just so bored with this call. I'd rather listen to Ben Stein.
Let's make it interesting then, Richie. You always talk about your work, but you never tell us what your work is. What is your work?
I'm in the marketing department for a home exterior contractor.
Oh, so you're one of those guys that bothers me when I'm trying to eat dinner. You call me up and try to sell me shingles and crap?
I'm not the one making the call, but I do manage the team that makes the call.
What if you need shingles one day, David?
What's that, David?
Huh? What? So I nailed it. It was shingles, not windows or siding or gutters.
No, we do roofing, siding, windows, and doors. And I teach my team that there's there's a threefold purpose to the call. First, identify the need, like do you need roofing, siding, windows, and doors? Then qualify the minimums, make sure the project's big enough for us to take on. And then if you need something that we offer and it's big enough for us to do, then set an appointment. That's it.
Okay, cool. Well, there's money in that, so hey, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and then we send out a sales rep to, go out there and explain the product and the process and do all that other stuff, and I do their scheduling.
Cool. Now I know. Why do you say you had something to do with video games? Did I hear you wrong?
I don't think you were saying your job, right?
No, video games is my job, but video games is my life. So
I thought it was.
He said he just goes to work and then goes home and plays video games. I'm pretty sure that's what confused you. You thought he said, I go to work and play video games.
I go to work so that I can afford to buy video games. And because I'd rather, if money were no object, I would probably play games most of the day. And most of the day, I'm just looking forward to going home and playing some video games. And the video game that I'm playing right now is really, really bizarre. So,
which one?
Death Stranding, the remastered version in PS5.
What's bizarre about it?
So it's like a dystopian future where the rain makes you get old and ages things that it touches.
Oh my God.
I carry around a premature baby in a bottle that can see ghosts. And in order to disperse the ghosts so that I can continue on my path, I have to throw urine grenades at them.
Ew. Well, at least if you ever need the baby to grow up real fast and help you and be on your team, you just let the rain touch it.
No. Oh yeah, and the premature baby has to have given birth from a brain dead mother in order to see the ghosts. So there you go.
Is genuinely bizarre.
That's a strange game.
Right.
You have anything to add to that, David?
Yeah, the name of that dancer that y'all need to check out, her name is Miyu, Miyu, Miyu or Mayu.
I'm just not that interested in watching like people dance that often.
She's really anyway. Well, to each their own. She's good. So anyway, so there. And you guys were debating something earlier in the show that was of a serious nature. What was it again? They were like
with the
tariffs and what? Huh?
Well, we talked a lot about tariffs. What was the debate?
The other thing. Other thing, there was something other than tariffs. It was because tariffs are, unless you want to talk about the stock market aspect of it, but that's interesting. The stock market is interesting, but tariffs themselves are kind of boring. But there was something else you were talking about.
With Skeeter?
It was serious. I don't remember. I fast forward through Skeeter. And
then we were talking to Jet about.
I think that was it.
Okay. Oh, the fact that we outnumber the government workers.
Yeah, that's one of them. And there was another thing too, but that's a major one. I keep saying that over and over again in a different way.
Oh, well, there's the other thing was another serious thing was that the idea of like when should you be allowed to fight back against them?
Right. And the answer should be anytime, all the time is the answer. And
yes.
It's based, yes.
Morally and ethically, yes. Strategically, no.
Right. And once again, it comes back to this, even before the existence of the United States, you had the right to do it. But the dudes that came along and kicked the ass of a king and then wrote some words down on some paper and made it the highest law in the land said that you have the right to do it.
Yeah, but ultimately, who's in charge, quote unquote, nowadays? You. Well, no.
You.
No, not really. And ultimately, the people in charge nowadays are the people that are willing to use the most force against me. And even if I use the piece of paper to say, "Hey, I'm allowed to do this," they're going to just come and kill me. So most people are smart enough, just like they're smart enough to say, "Hey, I was supposed to walk out in front of Richie Rich's
car
working place." No, in front of his workplace because I'm supposed to be allowed to, but these cars are speeding, and you just decide, "Hey, I'm gonna wait 3 seconds for this speeding car to go by and then I'll go." It's the same judgment call people make when they don't kill cops.
The overall problem is you have authoritarians like Donald Trump in office saying like the cops need to have immunity to do their job, so they'll get worse. So it'll get worse, and he said like take the guns first, due process later, right? So if due process comes second, right, then you should defend yourself first and then adjudicate it later, right? And if the choice is like only one of us is going to go home to our families, you might as well make it be you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's different, I think, than just being like, hey, I'm tired of this situation. Man, it's pissed me off the more I think about cops and just go outside and kill some of them. It's just not going to work out for you strategically.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why you don't, that would be the acute as compared to the chronic. And I'm not, all you stoners, I'm not talking about your favorite salad to smoke. The you don't, acute is you go out and one guy takes out another guy, the citizen takes out a cop, doesn't do anything good. But if 10,000 citizens, they don't take out a cop, they just say, no, not doing it, make me.
Well, but the cops have the guns, and then those citizens will individually get made to.
The citizens have the guns, too, and if the cops are stupid enough to pull out guns in a situation where they're not authorized by the highest law in the land to pull out their guns, then they get guns pulled out on them in legitimate, lawful self-defense. That's how that works.
Well, and again, this is why they don't do it, right? Like we learned this from the January 6th arrests. Right, you had all those protesters allegedly breaking the law when they invaded the Capitol and tried to overthrow the government, the biggest insurrection the United States has ever seen, right? And they did nothing at the time. But what they did do is round up all the videotape, use their technology to identify all the people who invaded the Capitol that day, and then they sent five officers to each individual's house to arrest them individually.
There, yeah.
And they kept them all separated, and they tried them all individually, and they jailed them all individually because they weren't a group at the time. They weren't acting as a group at the time. So when the cops come to get you, it's going to be 5-on-1. You're going to be outnumbered because they're not going to do it if they don't have the numbers game.
Probably in the middle of the night when you're sleeping.
Probably, yeah, or early in the morning and just smash through your window. And 17 of them outside with assault rifles, not the best time to put up a fight, right? But after that, like, you got to go get your stuff back.
Again. Right, you proved me right again then. Thank you.
On what grounds? Like, I don't mind if you're right. It happens occasionally.
Yeah, like every other time.
Well, but why were you right now?
50% success rate is nothing to brag about.
That's enough.
Say what?
Well, we want to know why you're saying you're right now.
No. If you win every other time in the stock market, you're a billionaire, because when you win 2 or 3 times what you lose when you lose. So if you win 50. What?
You're winning, but we want to know
why. If you win every other time at roulette, like, you walk out with the same amount of money as you walked in with.
Yeah, okay, well, that's why I don't play roulette. That's why
I win every other time I dare my walking buddy to eat poop off the ground. I win every other time. He wins every other time.
Yeah, I'm enough not to play that game, too.
So why are you saying that he proved you right exactly?
Because it proves that the people in this day and place are not following the instructions, the directions of how to successfully play the game, meaning run the country and have a life. That was, they spilt blood to provide for you. And that was that, it says, the first 3 words, the biggest words, it says, we the people, hey, we're the boss, and we the people, everybody out there, y'all didn't own that. You need to own it. And if you had, or if you start to do it now, then those people can't get away with going house to house after the fact.
Yeah.
And that's the analogy that I use also is
it's empty rhetoric, though. Right? The founders gave us great quotes. Right? The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of tyrants and patriots.
They demonstrated it. They lived it. They did it.
And the price for liberty is eternal vigilance. Like, you have to maintain it afterwards, and you have to live that lifestyle. But it's nearly impossible to live that now because you don't have the numbers.
Well, you do have the numbers. You got 350 million people.
Yeah, but they're not going to do it.
They're lazy.
We could go 1 for 1, right, and lose a fraction of our numbers and eliminate them entirely, and we probably wouldn't even go 1 for 1.
Yeah, but the thing is, Cheetos have been invented, so people just want to eat Cheetos and watch the news.
HDTV, baby.
freetalklive.com for more. Thanks for listening, and you can always call in when we're live next weekend. freetalklive.com for more. Peace.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves